Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to become IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS? Ladies and gentlemen, we Unacademy, with top educators of India and meticulously designed quality content, we have been waiting, that for you, especially to shape you so that you realize your dream. Once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, ladies and gentlemen, you will undergo a great learning experience. You know very well about Unacademy, which is India's largest and the best online education platform. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? If you ask me this particular question, yes, you got daily live classes, you can chat with your educator, you can engage in all-round discussions, especially productive discussions. Not only that, you can also ask all your genuine doubts and participate in the answer polls. All these things you can do in the sessions going on. You got structured courses here. This is completely based on the pattern of the examinations of UPSC and syllabus, so that you never get deviated from the expected framework. It's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff, because delivery matters. So in that sense, we got a mechanism, especially to evaluate you in various levels of your preparation by conducting regular mock tests, quiz programs. In turn, you get a detailed analysis, a report based on your performance. You come to know where you are strong, where you are weak. As we told you, right, that once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, you got unlimited access to the live and recorded videos. Not only that, you can learn from anywhere, anytime, whatever may be your device, whether it is mobile phone, whether it is laptop, even the desktop. Ladies and gentlemen, right, for that what you have to do, please download Unacademy learning app immediately. Whether it is, Android or iOS, once you, the download, you are ready to, that avail all the benefits part of Unacademy. As I told you, ladies and gentlemen, who is this interacting with you? This is Success Sampath from Chennai. I've got the unique experience of, that got exposed to the field of engineering, management, and legal education. With 25 years of experience in the field of, especially coaching aspirants for civil service examination. With my team, I could, witness the very results, more than 250, in terms of IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS. So all my kids are, working in different parts of India and abroad as well. What is the vision of mine? If you ask me, to provide career solution, especially by enabling youths of India to begin and later to embrace the global community. Fortunately, this particular vision of mine is completely in alignment with Unacademy. We are working together. Yes, so that you realize your dream, you realize your goal. Yes, what you have to do, that you can also, that reach me through Telegram channel, even through, that YouTube channel, that use my ID as Success Sampath, even Success, that Sampath Thiruvengadam. You can go for it, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only me. We got, top educators of India. Apart from that, we as a team working together, part of Unacademy, that so that you realize your dream. Under UPSC Civil Service Examination, we have got more than 15,000, courses, subject-specific module and duration-specific module. According to your convenience, you can enroll yourself and learn and achieve. Right, under UPSC Civil Service Examination, we have got two major programs. One is Plus program, another one is Iconic. What is this Plus program? If you ask me, yes, you got live classes and test series, unlimited practice sessions, even structured schedule mechanism. Whether it is, 12 months program or 24 months program, you can be part of it. And you can also use my referral code, say Success, to avail, that maximum 10% discount. But we strongly recommend the iconic program more than plus program, because it has got a unique feature. What is that unique feature? You will be allotted a personal coach, a personal mentor. It is he or she will take care of you, will understand your nature, and will be suggesting the study planner accordingly. Not only that, that the very personalized feedback you get, and you will be trained every day in terms of answer writing practices. Ladies and gentlemen, here too you have the 12 months program, 24 months program. Use my referral code so as to avail 10% discount. Technically speaking, you end up paying mere 80 to 100 rupees per day basis calculation. That's not even your expenditures meant for your evening snacks, ladies and gentlemen. But you ensure your career with that. And moreover, the 25 to 30 years of wonderful career demands minimum 2 years of devotion. The next 2 years, what you are going to do, especially with the support of iconic program, you're going to decide 25 to 30 years of wonderful career. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Sampath interacting with you. Yes, what is the very purpose for our, that meeting today? The virtual, that meeting today, of course. This is in continuation, of course, that you can also watch all my videos, it's already available on the part of, YouTube and even Unacademy platform. For that, you have to download the Unacademy app too, So, what is this? The optional subject called, the sociology, which is why it is very popular. Why people are scoring wonderful marks on the part of this subject matter. You know very well, we are keep on emphasizing the point, which is, that you are part of the society is in you. It's almost knowing about yourself and your surroundings, about your family, about the educational institutions, politically, all the institutions you tasted, or even now you are interacting in your day-to-day, the activities, day-to-day life. Otherwise, let me put this way. And you know very well, you are very open to admit, all these institutions are undergoing phenomenal change. You also admit. And for this particular understanding, you got one subject matter waiting on the part of UPSC Civil Services Examination, especially at the mains level. In Tamil, we say, Karumbu Thinna Kooli. You know something already. For that, that you are going to benefit in the name of scoring marks and ensuring your career with that impact. Right. So, that if I straight away say, according to somebody, you won't, you will outrightly reject, nah, I won't listen to you. But when I say, ladies and gentlemen, according to, Emile Durkheim, and Talcott Parsons, R.K. Metten, Max Weber, Karl Marx. Oh, he sir is coming to say something. This of course, maybe impact of westernization, I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, otherwise, that why that way, all your understandings, that will get formalized in the name of thinkers. Otherwise, in sociology, apart from basic concepts, they are almost like foundation of a building, makes you understand the very core subject matter, and also helps you in understanding the perspectives of sociology, whether it is structural functionalism, conflict school of thought, even symbolic interactionism. And even in the paper to Indian society, Indian sociology, you got Indologist by G.S. Gurye. Apart from M.N. Srinivas, A.R. Desai, Yogendra Singh, you're going to meet all those people in paper 2. So apart from that, that the very, that I'm talking about, the basic concepts, perspectives, even the thinkers will take you to they will give you right spirit of the sociology. Otherwise, it is almost seeing the two sides of a single coin. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand the truth finally. That is what the core principle of sociology. The very subject matter will transform you, will transform your understanding process, will transform your delivery process as it did in me, as I benefited. As I started looking at the way of life in a different manner, of course, way of life you call culture. Because, if you don't get that clarity, it is very natural that you tend to develop, misunderstanding. But sociology expects you to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So the thinkers will be facilitating you. Because, whereas the thinkers, when I say sociologists, the global social scientists whose contribution, that having tremendous impact on, the subject matter of sociology called society. Otherwise, very well, the very subject matter called sociology, the very birth of the subject matter came in response to the, various, revolutions happen, that in Europe especially, at the end of 18th century till the middle of 19th century. Of course, we call, the social milieu, social situation, because every idea has got its own root the historical context, otherwise, the social situations. Then only you can understand, then only you can relate. Otherwise, you may not appreciate in absolute sense. There comes relative sense, of course. Otherwise, when I say social situations, maybe I'm taking you, that the French Revolution, industrial revolutions happen in the very European continent, of course. Not only that, the very Enlightenment period we call, even post-Enlightenment, put together intellectual revolution, various inventions, discoveries, all these changes ultimately brought tremendous impact or pressure on various aspects of the society we are talking about. When I say various aspects, otherwise you can say various social institutions of society. You call marriage, family, your relatives, kinship. As I said earlier, your education institutions, economic institution, political institution, even the identity level, maybe the caste you belong to, maybe economic status, class, the gender. Yeah, so all these aspects of the society underwent, that phenomenal changes, and because of that, a sort of confusion happened in the Europe. So social scientists of that particular, the time period started writing about society. What is this society? Why this change? If this is the change, what was the society we had earlier? Is it going to be continuous? Or will this, change going to be in future also, like evolutionary, or is it going to be cyclical? How the society will be in future. So when they started writing about society, especially all the social scientists, that culminated in the very subject matter called sociology. Ladies and gentlemen, it is to brief all the newcomers, that yes, Mr. Ramasamy, we cover, that all sociology syllabus. Welcome to Unacademy, Mr. Ramasamy. So it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about. So I keep on talking about the term called society. Society is nothing but, it's not mere people, more than people. The relationship, the system or network of relationship existing among the people. But that may not be one-sided or one particular aspect. It may be marital, familial, that kinship or educational, economic, political. I keep on repeating. They are otherwise called multifaceted aspects of the society. That's why you see in terms of institutions. All the that relationship, otherwise the relationship existing among all these institutions ultimately giving you a structure, a pattern in the society. When all these institutions, that meeting the expectations, discharging their, duties, letter and spirit, of course you call social function. The very consequences on the society, of course, reinforcement of social order, social stability, social cohesion. It may be the defining, society in terms of structural functionalism. You got another perspective called, that conflict school of that. They understand the change, the dynamism on the part of the society. Society is not static. It's keep on changing, keep on moving. Why? Because for them, because every society has got its own seed of destruction. In the name of the contradiction, simmering discontent. Why? It's because of the exploitation. Because that each and every society has been classified except primitive communism. There we discussed Karl Marx in previous sessions. Some of the newcomers, you can also watch previous videos, ladies and gentlemen. It's available in the YouTube. So except primitive communism, in all stages, the Karl Marx witness, that of course the struggle between haves and have-nots. The struggle because of the exploitation. Haves trying to exploit the have-nots. Rich trying to exploit the poor. Let me put it in a simple term. So this exploitation, of course, this struggle, the antagonism, the conflict led to change, because the system could not accommodate that particular conflict. Naturally, the change from one stage to another. That led to capitalistic mode of production from agricultural society. Of course, primitive society, ancient society, Asiatic society, feudal society, capitalistic society. The very exploitation was very sharper in the very capitalistic society. There, the Karl Marx, that even Max Weber was quite pessimistic about this, the capitalistic exploitative mode. They said, because of that exploitation, there will be revolution. The world proletariats unite together. Ultimately, they overthrow the very capitalistic establishment. In place, they bring classless communist society. So the conflict, the struggle because of exploitation leading to change, this change notion, the Karl Marx took into account, in terms of the whole society, in terms of series of stages. That's why he called historical materialism. The dialectism, one opposing another, the contradiction between haves and the have-nots. That is, because of that, it's also called dialectic, materialism. Ladies and gentlemen, so it's looking at, the society in terms of change perspective. the change because of struggle, the change because of revolution, the change because of exploitation, the change because of antagonism between haves and have-nots. So you understand two different perspectives in sociology. On the one side, structural functionalism, treating society as a system, as if it has got order, and another side you got society, that they say social formation, of course, in the name of society, with full of changes, the change because of the radical, of course, the revolution because of the exploitation. Both are correct. Otherwise, both perspectives, addressing the two sides of a single coin, finally you understand the truth about society. So that comes to the role of perspectives, ladies and gentlemen. Forget about that. Here in UPSC Civil Service Examination, all these thinkers, that the Karl Marx, Max Weber, Emile Durkheim. We already discussed Karl Marx, Max Weber. Please, you can watch the videos already available there in the YouTube. This is of course we are discussing today Emile Durkheim, belonging to structural functionalism. You're going to learn more about him, a French sociologist, and future also we are going to discuss that of course the very American sociologists, especially Talcott Parsons, Robert K. Merton, and G.H. Mead, belonging to symbolic interactionism, a perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, so all these thinkers put together, they, in paper one, if you are very strong in thinkers, you are capable of getting very fantastic marks. See, thinkers portion, you come to know about all the global thinkers, of course, the sociologists, global sociologists, or even social scientists, contributed, that in such a way to sociology, that they've got, impact. That is why they have been recognized as founding fathers of sociology. Rest of the units on the part of paper one, you got in the name of institutions. There also you are going to bring all these perspectives, sociologists once again. So your understanding getting reinforced. And you are going to apply this understanding in Indian context, Indian society. That is what your paper 2, the syllabus paper 2, where you are going to incorporate some Indian sociologists, as I said earlier, G.S. Gurye, M.N. Srinivas, A.R. Desai, and you're going to discuss other Indian sociologists, that like Yogendra Singh, so many people, K.M. Kapadia, I.P. Desai, D.P. Desai, that so many people will take part, Airavati Karve. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So this subject is all about, that study about society, science of society. So it is not Sampath, talking to you about society. Sampath speaking because of the thing, understanding, he developed based on perspectives, based on basic concepts, based on thinkers. That quantified in terms of, I could get, wonderful marks in, that not only myself, even my kids, that could get, that fantastic marks. That's why they are into service now. And you are also going to do the same. You're going to benefit more. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not only in sociology. I think, it is on that note, I say, score out of 400, scoring 450 plus is highly possible. Let me put this way. Why not? Because I told you, small aim is crime. Think big, aim high. Try to put yourself in big picture, ladies and gentlemen. Only when you aim at star, at least you can land on moon. We are keep on emphasizing this particular point of view. Because of this sociology, you are also capable of scoring good marks in general studies mains. The paper 1, you got society portion. In paper 4, you got ethics, where 130 marks meant for the case studies. You also score fantastic marks there. Not only that, in the essay paper, out of if you take into account last say 20 years of question papers, the whole topics can be brought under 8 domains. One of the domains meant for this subject matter of sociology, say society. Without any preparation, you can write, where you should not reveal your sociology student. You don't bring that flavor. You should write like generalist, not bringing case study. You should not bring, sociologist definition, case study, perspective there. You should address generally. But this understanding will help you. That puts you, that in your delivery mode, letter and spirit. And beyond that, with this understanding, you are capable of arriving at balanced decision when you go to interview board. So with this, that much of advantages, ladies and gentlemen, I benefited, my students benefited, that you are also going to benefit, that God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. It is, I think, that, so in that line of, that the thinkers discussion today, we are going to discuss about, Emile Durkheim. And that is what the modality, the content, of course, all of his contributions. We begin with, biography, then contribution, division of labor, social fact, suicide, religion and society. Well, he belongs to the school of structural functionalism with Comte, the founder of positivism tradition, Of course, he also not from the free from criticism, because the very purpose of sociology is to understand society, make generalizations, not to that expect how the society should be. Your duty is not to reconstruct or reform, because there are guys already waiting. Of course, the social worker, social reformer, legislature. Of course, once you become legislature, that becomes your responsibility. But as of now, but as a student, you are not sociologist. You understand subject matter. I'm talking about the role of sociologist. Ladies and gentlemen, so to understand, to make generalization, because why they are all non-governmental organizations, international organizations, regional entities, the planners, decision makers, everybody waiting for you. Why? Because of the subject matter with preciseness, objectivity, the core principle you practice. You don't take sides, even value neutrality, as said by Max Weber. Ladies and gentlemen, not only that, the very way with which you studied about society, you understood about society, the scientific study, systematic study, integrated study. That's why the report is highly valued. Even the media people, judiciary people, waiting for that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that note, that, and finally we'll be discussing about resources to be consulted to enrich your understanding apart from our sessions and interactions. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time to take you to, the next level. Of course, we spoke much about, sociology and advantages, even how it is relevant to your preparation, and even to run the life very successfully, letter and spirit. Right. In what way it is going to supplement your understanding of day-to-day life. As I told you, right, in UPSC Civil Service Examination, especially the paper 1, the syllabus, the social thinkers, the tremendous, that the contribution from this particular unit. We already spoke about, Max Weber. We already spoke about first Karl Marx also. And today, our point of discussion, our focus on Emile Durkheim. This is what the syllabus you're going to see there. And we are going to discuss, I think, the left corner. What all we are discussing, that it's in red. Of course, the division of labor, social fact, suicide, religion and society. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Who is this Emile Durkheim or Durkheim? Pronunciation. People, that with a different pronunciation, that doesn't matter. Come on. The 19th century French sociologist. Of course, as I told, one of the founding fathers, along with Auguste Comte, who is said to be the father of sociology. Founding father of sociology. It is he, Auguste Comte, who coined the terminology of course, from social physics to society, derived from that socius, logos, Latin and Greek terms, where. And with Auguste Comte, he also gone to the extent of founding the positivism movement. Of course, what is that? Applying the methods of natural sciences for making study over society. It's almost like, along with Herbert Spencer, organic analogy. Parts contribution to the whole, of course, structural functionalism we are talking about. So it is that movement is called positivism movement. Otherwise, that gave status to the very social science, the subject matter of sociology as a science. You got separate unit for that. Sociology as a science and methods of research. Even sociology's relationship with other social sciences in the world. You got unit. You get every year questions also, and we will be discussing in future. Right, it is that way. So this 19th century, friends, I told you at the end of the 18th century till the middle of the very birth of sociology, you can trace the European continent, the venue. So 19th century French sociologist, of course, scholar, no doubt at all. Of course, social thinker. These are all the various titles, attributions for the great man, of course, that none other than Emile Durkheim, educationalist, writer, strict disciplinarian, because he spoke about he recommended morality for the society also. Moral science, and we are going to talk about, he was worried about degeneration of society. Finally, of course, that he started recommending what is good for the society. On that part, he got deviated from the role of sociologist, because how the society should be, it is unbecoming on the part of any sociologist. We are going to criticize. And at the end of the life also, he unable to settle his mind. It's not a criticism. That's very natural. When all intellectuals are full of doubt, the fools, they're doing, jobs, that with 100% confidence. That's what happening even in our day-to-day lives. No? Because, a lot of theories limiting you, but they have nothing, no limitation. They will do. They will unleash the potential. They will achieve everything. Of course, they are not bothered about impact on society. But when you get exposed to variety of theories, of course, that demands next level of maturity to realize, that all different paths leading to the same destination. Probably what went wrong, we don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but that's the bad end he had, of course. That's totally different scenario. You please go through IGNOU material, you will come to know maybe that's more than that, his contribution and its impact on society, and its impact especially, as part of subject matter, right? So, and that too, structural functionalism perspective. Of course, that from Kant, that Emile Durkheim, got to know, of course, as I told you, the positivistic stress, especially on empiricism, empiricism, empirical world that demands evidence from you. Show me proof attitude. Even the positivism, I said, applying the methods of natural sciences for making study over society. What are all those methodologies? If you ask me, methods, otherwise the stages: observation, experimentation, verification, hypothesis. This is what you did in your laboratory, in your school days, even college days. Before you arrive at hypothesis, you underwent the same methodologies. Of course, the same, the procedures that you can apply in studying about society, so that that you are running after the evidence, empirical world, the stress on empiricism. Show me proof attitude, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. So, application of methods of physical science to the study of social facts. Once again, application of methods of physical science. Of course, that's what we spoke. Positivism to the study of social facts. Sir, you said society, here social facts, because according to very Emile Durkheim, his own definition. As we said, the Max Weber, for Max Weber, sociology is nothing but interpretative understanding of social action. This is what we discussed there. But here, according to Emile Durkheim, sociology is nothing but study of social facts. What are all those? And he is going to that he defines what are all the characteristic features of those social facts. For example, if you ask me in the name of studying about society, you study about social institutions over. According to him, a social institution is called social fact. Even language, custom, tradition, because the characteristic features we are going to talk there, they are very distinct, external, enduring, and coercive, and we are going to discuss later. So you just come to know in the name of studying about society, you study about social facts. Example like social institutions, you keep in your mind this way. For Durkheim, Durkheim, for the establishment of sociology as empirical science, that in the line of that social, that it is, though it is social science, he accorded this status. Sociology as a science can be equated with physical science, because it's capable of showing evidence-based research culminating the subject matter. Not only that, we spoke, that even when Max Weber was in favor of individual, he said individual is more than society. Even the Verstehen approach, sympathetic introspection, we spoke. Where individual, who will speak on behalf of individual? The Verstehen approach, all those things we discussed. Same way here, that even, but whereas that Max Weber's, the very Karl Marx said in different tone, where societal exploitation on individual. The societal structure and its exploitation on individual, where that society is more than individual. That is the tone you could that witness. That is a flavor you got because of Karl Marx. But whereas Max Weber, individual is more than society. Here, the Emile Durkheim, belonging to the school of structural functionalism, where you see here he gave primacy to society over individual. It is otherwise, society is more than individual. That is the tone. No doubt. Without individuals, you can never form society. But mere individuals, mere people can never be called as society. Well, it's more than that. System or network of relationship existing among all these individuals, culminating in social formation, as said by Karl Marx, culminating in societal formation, according to structural functionalists. Ladies and gentlemen, you got the idea now. So, society. So, sum is more than its parts. Whole is more than its parts. Society is more than individual. Even Supreme Court judgment came, as I told you, right, when the electoral reforms happened because of a former Chief Election Commissioner T.N. Session. But that he had his own problem against government. He did not accommodate, that did not give enough space to other Chief Election Commissioners, multi-member body, the Election Commission, that became that time. So Supreme Court said in its judgment, no man is above law. No man is above the law. Law is more than you. It's that way. Of course, here we speak, society is more than individual. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So, explaining individual phenomena by state collectivity and not vice versa. Even that goes with Indian mindset. Council of Ministers collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. This the collective responsibility is the heart of parliamentary democracy. Core principle of parliamentary democracy. Where you derive that? It is derived from that Indian value system. Of course, collectivism is the core principle here, not individualism. But whereas Western world, individualism, privacy, individual achievement you celebrate. But here collectivism, in what way it is going to benefit society? As Kamarajar spoke that way, a great leader. Even the Prime Minister Modi ji talking that tone. Even all our great leaders of India, whether it is Nehru, everybody, will it MGR also that was spoke that admired in that way, that will it bring good to that Tamil Nadu. And so all our leaders who that made this nation to this level, they spoke that way. It's going to benefit the collectivity, the people, the whole Indian society, of course, community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So explaining individual phenomena by state of collectivity, not vice versa. That's what you're going to speak. And even an individual is committing suicide, it's not his own act. It is societal pressure responsible. And we are going to talk about types of suicide also. Societal pressure. You are molded to the societal condition. All your opinion completely got influenced. Even in that note, you can bring Max Weber also, that. So Max Weber said, though individual is more than society, all individual social action, all individuals' action can be construed as social action because action influenced by society. Where I see the similarity there. But these people are totally different. When Emile Durkheim says, society is more than individual, Max Weber said individual is more than society. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that using ideal type Max Weber classified, you have seen already. But here, so it is individual phenomena explained in collectivity, in socialness, in societal sense, not the other way around. Not the other way around. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. And not only that, he also speaks about collective conscience and collective representation. This is otherwise called religion. So especially this collective conscience, you witness, that the rural area, people think alike, more or less similar profession, more or less similar value system. Collective conscience, we are going to define also. And it's because of that there comes solidarity, that social order, social integration, social cohesion. But Emile Durkheim said it's called social solidarity, but it is very mechanical in nature. Even in the military, you would have said, attention! What will happen? Everybody. Stand at ease. Everybody. They won't question, why should I? In military, you never question. You are completely submissive. That is what hierarchy. It is order. Because they think alike. It's mechanical. It's not questioning. And there comes ultimately, that mechanical solidarity we are talking about. We will be elaborating the famous, the concepts, especially from Emile Durkheim. And not only that, he said religion as collective representation. You worship, that a plant or animal because, that you believe as which has got spirit in that. That's what. We are going to, that speak in that, that very, religion there. Especially you just imagine a situation, in your own street, in the corner there could have been one rock. And you also used to sit there, maybe in your childhood, play there with your friends. Sometimes you did some mischievous activity. One day fine morning, you don't see that rock. It's not there. It's not available. What happened, right? But meanwhile, your mom is calling. Hey, come on, Ramesh. Hey, come on, that Ronit. Hey, come on, Shwarni. Hey, come on, that Bhargavi. Hey, come on, that Sarvesh. Whoever may be. So ultimately, mom calling, come on, let's go to temple. There is a temple, and it's going to be, that important function there. Come on, they have installed a new statue there. Mom calling. No, mommy, I'm not coming. No. You're going to face, examination. Come there. You come and worship. I've got, that my own prayers there. I told the Lord, I'm going to bring you guys, there. So ultimately, mom taking you there. You go there. And you start worshipping. When you go there in the temple, you witness, that the very rock which wasn't there in the street corner, that rubbles you find. And rather, that ultimately you see the statue. The statue, after all Agama Shastra, that Namaha, Swaha, you would have seen all those, the temple function and all, right? That now, because, that they add value. That is a belief system, of course. The very stone, it has become a statue, it has become, that idol, it has become, that Lord Ganesha, whatever may be. Other people with other faith also, please tolerate this example, I'm sorry, just for example, not to offend you. So mom asked, Mummy, this is a stone there, I used to sit there, we used to play on that, how come I can worship? No, don't say, oh my God, please forgive him. So the very stone has become, that a statue. The very stone has become, that idol. Very stone has become Lord. Mom expects you to worship there. Because, it is not mom. All the people, the devotees, that there ultimately started, worshipping. Because, mom said, no, see how everybody. So people attribute power over that particular stone. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So whatever may be, that a plant or animal, over which, you attribute ultimately, that power, you add power, then you start venerating. You give, supernatural, that entity status. This is people come together collectively, that then they attribute, then they add power to that, then start venerating. This is what religion, according to Emile Durkheim, that's what called collective representations. That's what happening in our, worship pattern, faith pattern, whatever may be the religion. Even the primitive religions, actually he identified, we are going to elaborate why we are going for a religion. Even you just take, for example, our national flag, the three colors. You would have watched movie, that Roja, especially Maniratnam's, the magnum, of course Rahman's magnum opus, very well. So what will happen, that when a militant, that trying to put fire on that, national flag, ultimately, that he set fire. Immediately hero jumps on that and trying to extinguish that fire. There comes, Nama Bharadam, Idi India, Hamara Bharat, whatever may be the language, of course, the spirit, ultimately hero jumping. And will you say, a fool, hero? That it is a fire, na? Won't you develop burns because of the fire? Ladies and gentlemen, what is this guy, fool? No, you say it's a patriotism. I will not tolerate, something happening to my national flag. It's equivalent to my soul. Why? People, of course, Pingali Venkaiah designed that national flag, very well. In a particular Indian National Conference of course, that it was given formalization. And you got flag code. Recently, the people who offended flag code, that they lost chief ministership. Also, Madhya Pradesh, it happened once. And the constitution talks about flag code, how it should be treated. Anybody violating that will be brought to the book. You respect. It is a symbol of nationalism, symbol of patriotism. It's not simple piece of, three different colored cloths, that put together. Ladies and gentlemen. So that is why. So people come together and collectively attribute power in that, patriotic fervor in that. Then you start venerating. Then you start worshipping. Whether it is August 15, Jan 26, all, that how you're going to do that as a district collector, as head of various institutions, you are going to hoist flag like this, the red fort. One day, fine morning, it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's that way. So this is also collective representation, ladies and gentlemen. So this is all fantastic. Of course, that changes your notion, changes your opinion about the very religion. Then of course, that you move to the next level of maturity. That's what the byproduct, and beyond that you have to score more. That is immediate purpose. You have to become officer. We are going to support you. It is that way. So of course, he belongs to the Jewish family. That see all Jewish, the cream people, of course, intellectuals, of course, belonging to European society, especially from that Lorraine, the place, of course, in France, European society. It is the same way Karl Marx, we spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. I think it is the right time. Let's move some more, information. I think then only you will appreciate the contribution. You need the background. Let's utilize. I want these stories to be told, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, as I told you in the beginning, whatever may be all these theories, he developed concepts, developed in spite of that, unable to settle his mind in the end of his life. That's totally different scenario. Agnostic, that it is that it is not, that the believing, otherwise the existence of. It is not, whether it is there or we don't know. As that you can equate Kamala Hassan with that, the God is there or not. I never said no. It will be nice if you have that attitude. Of course, that confusion, of course, whatever maybe you don't take stand, unable to settle his mind the same way we are talking about here, especially for Emile Durkheim end days, ladies and gentlemen. So he was in favor of the schooling, especially based on scientific methods. Not only that, moral principles. Maybe God, even Mahatma Gandhi said one of the 7 sins, according to Mahatma Gandhi, education without value system, one of the 7 sins. So he talks about the schooling based on scientific methods, good. The reasoning, sociology as a science we are talking about here, and the empiricism, the positivism, of course. But moral principle, is that moral for everybody? There comes when you talk about prescribe a particular value system. Is it absolute in sense or relative in sense? There comes a lot of questions. There also we parallelly criticize, that very Emile Durkheim. It is unbecoming on the part of, the very Emile Durkheim to prescribe a value system. Of course, it is that way. Also in Germany, he got exposed to, that the scientific psychology, especially of, Wilhelm Wundt. These are all his inspirations we are talking about. Maybe that's why, the very crystal clear, that for him to get, fantastic understanding about suicide and also to connect with society, the collectivity, of course, especially in the division of labor, you come to know about that. Yes, it is that way. So, Department of Philosophy and Social Science, the University of Bordeaux, France, these are all his exposure, which shaped his, the thought, his career. Yes, professor of science, that let me malign all this part, we have to elaborate more. So the professor of science of education and sociology in the University of, that Sorbonne, France, we are talking about. Of course, his interest, observation about French politics. And we spoke hitherto about, the collectivism he emphasized. That nothing to do with individualism, collectivism. That's why society is more than individual. That inheritance, that collective tradition he inherited, because especially of the social thoughts of, that D. Meister and Saint Simon and Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte is the founding father of sociology. Auguste Comte, it is he who named the subject matter sociology. We spoke already. He inherited this particular collectivist tradition from there. As Karl Marx inherited, that the very dialectic tradition from Hegel. As Max Weber got influenced by, Immanuel Kant, that and the idealism we are talking about. It is that way. So, especially his sharp reaction against the individualistic notions of both Herbert Spencer especially. He's otherwise called social Darwinist. Herbert Spencer, responsible for Origin of Species, well known. That the contribution talks about the evolution theories, very well, survival of the fittest or natural selection. Yes, so he's against the individualistic notions of Herbert Spencer. It is he, that Emile Durkheim along with Herbert Spencer also compared society with a living organism. That's also called, that organic analogy. So even Herbert Spencer in that tone, of course, that social Darwinists we call them. Not only that, English utilitarians, Jeremy Bentham, all those guys. J.S. Mill, John Stuart Mill. What do you mean by utilitarianism? Where you talk about, that utility especially. Of course, it is based on, that pleasure is better than pain. That notion we are talking about. Whatever may be, that it is not consumption because it's not, individual or individual privacy or individual's, happiness, individual's pleasure. But is it benefiting the collectivity? Is it benefiting the community? Is it benefiting the collectivity? It is that note. Of course, all of his contributions, that as we said, the Max Weber's, that response is, that all, that contributions of Max Weber is otherwise said to be the response to the contributions of Karl Marx. Of course, criticism to the writings of Karl Marx within the conflict tradition. The same way we are talking about here, the structural functionalists, of course, that the very Emile Durkheim and whose, the reaction may not be right, response against individualistic notions of Herbert Spencer and English utilitarians. As I said, Jeremy Bentham, John Stuart Mill, we are talking about it is that note, ladies and gentlemen. I think it is the right time. Let's move some more. He could achieve victory in the struggle against, public madness. Of course, that's what it is. It is attacking the myth, attacking the ignorance. And all of his contributions, that somewhat gave clarity. It's unfortunately he himself, that unable to settle his mind at the end of his days. That's totally different scenario. So he achieved victory in that also. He could accomplish things, achieved, more than accomplishment. He achieved, through his contributions in bringing awareness on the part of the society. Not only that, so the moral he that highlighted in what way that the society is getting that degenerated. Of course, moral degeneration. He is a strict disciplinarian. Of course, idealist to some extent. Naturally, they won't tolerate, the deviances, but you are supposed to, that not to get influenced, but the situation. Social scientists studied about society, observation we are talking about, and to some extent got disappointed also. Of course, that the journal, Unacademy Sociologic, we are talking about, he was part of it and his contributions. No doubt, Emile Durkheim, belongs to the school of, functionalism, especially structural functionalism, you will come to know. And also his contributions to the, field of sociology of education, law and religion, ladies and gentlemen. And if at all you say the morality, of course, ethics is a byproduct of social order. When there is no social order, no social solidarity, in his own terms, solidarity, when there is no social integration, social cohesion, you can never think about, that the very peace. Otherwise, how come, the people will be running after, the different goals, different agenda. How come you can think about, the very morality there? Of course, when I say morality, the moral principles, what is right in a particular occasion. Because in the confused scenario, the chaotic scenario, you can't expect that. Because there won't be control, absence of social control. There will be law and order deterioration mechanism. The individuals, they will not wait for, the collective order, collective social sanction. So everybody will resort to taking, law on their own hands. What will happen ultimately? So that will collapse the very moral principle existing in the society. Of course, this is what, Emile Durkheim's, version. So morality, of course, you call ethics, that the product of social order, social solidarity. When there is no order, there won't be, ethics or morality. Of course, then only peace. If you don't, then if you're not, practicing moral, it will lead to conflict. You will encroach upon somebody else's privacy. Of course, that there comes conflict, fight, violence. Then it involves community groups also. Then affecting law and order, a complete confusion, no peace, no prosperity, no economic development. Of course, you understand, it is that way. So linking morality with social order, even the punishment of deviance is a reparation. It's a healing effect otherwise offered to collective conscience. When I say collective consciousness, there is consensus actually in a society. This is what a value system, this is what the principle of living, this is what methodology, this is what the process, this is what the procedure, this is what our culture, this is what the way of life, this is what the blueprint of the society, this is what our custom, this is what tradition, this is what social norms. You speak that way. You agree, of course, social contract theory. You agree over those principles, you never find conflicting environment. But anybody disturbing that particular fabric, what will happen? Whether it is, religious fundamentalists, of course, terrorists, or people, that centrifugal tendencies. Maybe, they want to secede from India. Criminals, corrupt people, or people practicing nepotism, cronyism. Ladies and gentlemen. Or people affecting, the modesty of women, practicing, gender injustice. Or people practicing social exclusion, outrightly rejecting the minorities, downtrodden people, or weaker sections. All these people, of course, that, so, that they will be brought to the book because we got mechanism called formal social sanction. It's called law. You got Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code. And it may be in an informal way also, we got informal way of, regulating the behavior. Maybe it may be the panchayat, that diktat, or maybe your family, your own, that primary social groups or secondary social groups, that shaping you, taming you. So that particular deviance, otherwise all deviance, that deviance means you get deviated from the accepted norms of the society, accepted value system of the society. So you may be punished for that. All deviants are punished. Of course, the criminals are punished not because of the criminal activity. That is what Emile Durkheim's opinion. But because of the thing, those criminals have done harm. They wounded the very, collective conscience already existing in the society. Otherwise, people who strictly adhere to that collective conscience, the satsang, people, right people, they should not feel, that cheated. Hitherto I believed this dharma. Oh, there is no place for dharma. Ultimately, they will get disappointed. They should not get disappointed. They should not feel offended. So by punishing these criminals, it's not for the purpose of punishing criminals, because of the thing they have done harm to the collective sentiment already existing in the society. The very collective consciousness which says those who are all committing mistakes, they'll be brought to the book through social sanctions. That belief system. that faith in the society, that should not undergo, that should not be disturbed. So punishment of deviance is the reparation, the healing effect offered to the harms done by those criminals. By punishing these criminals, you are doing reparation work, healing work. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you would have got the point. I think that in this note, and his right time, and some more, that see, it's not some more. I think that especially. Let me read. This is all the list of contributions as we speak. Every social scientist, different contributions and different titles in the various periods of time. You also get exposed to this, because whenever you write about a particular contribution asked in the question in your UPSC main examination, it would be appropriate for you to that write about the context, in which book, in on what context he that the Emile Durkheim or any social scientist explained, in what way it had its own impact, from which perspective, and even if possible case study. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the substantiation. It's not simply telling the story, but it should be properly substantiated with relevant facts. The facts, it's not memorizing. That comes naturally. You need not memorize. I don't expect you to memorize. The thing which you are very passionate and you practice, you will never forget in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, so what is this? The division of labor in society, the rules of sociological the method, even the contribution, suicide, the collective and individual representation, the judgments of reality, of course, his contribution to law, religion, we spoke, right? It is that way, apart from education, right? The elementary forms of religious life, that is the title he is discussing, religion and society, even suicide under division of labor. Division of labor itself, where he talks about solidarity, and professional ethics and civic morals, of course, that where he talks about how the society should be with moral order. So all of his contributions through which that we talk about him, he got that important force, that his contributions became subject matter of sociology. We speak in that note. Ladies and gentlemen, it is right time. Come on, please give me 1 second. Yeah. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, what is division of labor? Actually, when the system is complex, it is not possible to run that system with few people. That demands specialized people, expert people, and also you have to involve yourself in resort to the process called delegation, management by delegation. Even there is a kural in Tamil. I will also parallel translate. It's otherwise talking about the spirit of that management by delegation. Idhanai, idhanal, ivan mudikkum, endru araindu adanai avankan vidal. We are also going to discuss this kural in social stratification, effective role allocation and performance. So it's not possible to do everything by one man. That demands team. That too, the team of experts in that particular sphere, so that you achieve the task. So division of labor, all about that it is that, so that leads to that specialization of that particular organization, with incorporation of or a recruitment of experts, so that you get fantastic products. That's the meaning actually. In common parlance, you have this the contribution of Emile Durkheim, especially the division of labor. The division of labor in society, especially in the 1893, this is his doctoral thesis, the PhD thesis, where he talks about the nature of social solidarity, because what you call social order, social integration is otherwise called, according to Emile Durkheim, social solidarity. People in common parlance, we say, throw your solidarity on behalf of the leader. People say, no. Because when you become a leader, that become leader, people will throw solidarity behind you, because your policy, your impact, the people believe you, because you got your visionary, you got ambition, you got to achieve, you're going to bring laurels. So if we come across these terms, of course, Emile Durkheim, that says in place of social order, social integration, social solidarity, right? That depends on division of labor, because one shoe cannot fit everyone. Fit for all approach will not work. That demands experts of different domains. You combine together. So it is that way. So increase in density of population and increase in moral density. When the population increasing, according to the density of population is increasing, accordingly the moral density he speaks. The moral density, when he says that the effective relationships, of course, system becoming complex, that is the meaning. As we speak in the world of Herbert Spencer, the system moving from simple to complex. As you yourself, you are from single cellular organism to multicellular organism. That is what evolutionary principle now. Cells combining together tissues, tissues combining together organs combining together subsystem. When all subsystems are properly coordinated, you ensure the survival of the whole system. Ladies and gentlemen, the same way, simple to complex, the same way, that Emile Durkheim, of course, talking about, so when the population density increases, of course, demographic, study about population is called demography. So that leads to increase in moral density, otherwise effective, relationships he's talking about. That leads to solidarity. It is that way. So that results in division of labor. That results in division of labor. When the society becomes, that simple to complex, that complex mechanism demands. You just imagine, society itself has got division of labor. How? In terms of various social institutions. You got marriage, you got family, you got education institution, you got economic institution, you got political institution. Why this compartmentalization? Why all these divisions? Why all these social institutions? Because you got variety of social needs. That should be dealt with by the specialized institutions. They are otherwise called agents of that socialization. You call in shaping a personality. You need support of all these institutions to to complete a successful of life or to ensure social order. Otherwise, society won't be complete. All complex mechanism, that will definitely have this division of labor. Of course, we are talking about it that way. So what is that? He talks about, especially as a sociologist, as a the structural functionalist, function of this division of labor. What do you mean by function? Social function. Of course, it is nothing but social consequences, especially in bringing social order. Accordingly, it will be called, as Archimedes said, functional. When it is weakening social order, as Archimedes said, it may be called dysfunctional. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. I'm talking about Archimedes there. But here, social consequences, the very social function of this division of labor, especially in the modern industrial society, he's talking about. In what way this division of labor is going to, that establish the social order. What kind of social order? What kind of social solidarity otherwise? So it is that way every organization you see the division of labor accordingly. They may be highly specialized in the sphere. As we spoke, this division of labor itself leading to alienation in the world of Karl Marx. But highly bureaucratization leading to alienation in the world of Max Weber. But here, that he's going to talk about anami, that anami where Archimedes also has contributed in that particular concept. Ladies and gentlemen, parallelly I'm comparing, don't be panic, just come to know, that when we complete, that you will correlate it, finally we will have a separate discussion, the comparison of all these thinkers over subject matter, over each and every contribution, the questions are with that trend nowadays. They ask you to compare over a particular concept with 3 people. You please go through previous year questions, you will come to know. But parallelly, let me expose you so that you will never find problem there. Yes, it's that way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move. This division of labor, of course, the importance of, that Emile Durkheim emphasizing the importance of shared norms and values in maintaining social cohesion and social solidarity. Of course, this talks about consensus. People come and agree over set of principles, set of social norms, part of the culture. Very well, values are general guidelines to an action, whereas social norms are specific guidelines to an action. When the social norms are documented, formalized, you call law, the formal mechanism. So the important role played by, especially people reach consensus by this, social norms, values in maintaining social cohesion, social solidarity or social integration, social stability, social equilibrium, you call. It's different nomenclatures, but the same meaning. So assignment to each unit, what is division of labor? You assignment to each unit or group a share of common task. Of course, you delegate. It may be a technical or it may be a sexual. That it would be appropriate to say sexual, gender, and social division of labor accordingly. Even judgment system in the rural area, some packets practice. Of course, that goes with caste system. Well. You got variety of people in the rural area to take care of your variety of needs. They are not paid by cash, rather they are paid by kind, well. And it is, like contractual, interfamilial, intergenerational. intercaste relationships. We are talking part of judgment system. Of course, the division of labor you also witness in the rural area, but it may not be in the urban area also witnessed, but the rural area, it may not be as specialized as in the urban area or complex mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. Yes, so this division of labor leading to specialization in workshops and factory system, maybe technical angle, it has got its own advantages in terms of increased efficiency, because you can't expect a doctor to build, that a villa for you. And given the COVID situation, you can't expect, that a computer engineer, of course, his purpose may be totally different. You have to understand, identify right person for the right job, for right activity. That comes, recruitment mechanism. Precision in recruitment, otherwise it's a disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So when you do properly with division of labor, you go for that recruitment mechanism, definitely that increases the efficiency and productivity of that all these organizations. This particular view, of course, that the father of economics, none other than Adam Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So according to Durkheim, the promise of division of labor overweighed the problems. There comes that criticism. Harlambas, especially the Orange Book, Sociological Themes and Perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, it's his own opinion about that the very division of labor of that Emile Durkheim. The promise of division of labor overweighed the problems. That way, ladies and gentlemen, you will come to know, that parallelly, because, for every contribution at the end also, we will be talking about criticism, don't worry. So, relationship between individual and society, the mechanical solidarity in traditional and tribal society, because it's totally depending upon the nature of the society, you identify the type of solidarity or type of social order. Even that happened, that my dad is no more when he was alive at the young age, that you can never question your dad. That's the way with which we are brought up. So when dad says, you have to, yes, dad. Even I never spoke against mom, because you have to respect, the obedience. But today, it's totally different scenario. You broke your promise, that your young kid will ask you that question. Today, it's because the individualism, privacy, the different value system, they are getting exposed, the urbanization. But whereas in the rural area, it's totally collectivism. The time difference and also the value system difference and also the generation gap we are talking about. But even today, to some extent, why? That's what I already brought, that the very military, the mechanical solidarity, that's happening in the rural areas, the traditional, you can't speak against your own, the tribal leader. It is offense. Even in the rural area, in the panchayat, that if you speak against your panchayat leader, of course, the sarpanch, it's almost, that you are disrespecting the whole panchayat. You may be sent out, even a lot of movies showing. There is very famous movie, that one Natame in Tamil Nadu, Tamil movie, people from other states you may not be knowing, that the judgment, I'm telling in Tamil that, that the whole village members should not have contact with them, communication with them, should not have any transaction with them. That becomes judgment. The moment, that you start, that disrespecting sarpanch. It's almost, that disrespecting the whole panchayat, the rural area. Why? It is that much, because the very solidarity. Forget about that, the bad side. If you see, that any bus conductor, that misbehaving with, particular person in that particular rural area, what will happen? The bus will go to particular destination and come back. The whole village will be in the roadside, waiting for that particular bus, and they will bring down that conductor. I've seen personally in my young age, that they will beat that conductor. They will show solidarity. Because you touched our village men. Today we teach lesson to you so that you never touch, you never misbehave with our village men. That is the solidarity. It's highly possible because of the small size. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what. So Emile Durkheim talking about mechanical solidarity in traditional and tribal society, because why it is possible? Very small in society, simple society, it's highly possible. Whereas in complex society, because it is anonymous, even the next door people, you don't know who they are, what they are doing, you don't know. Because you are busy with your priorities. You are running after your schedule, your agenda, anonymity, because otherwise they are running after their own privacy. They don't want you to interfere in their personal affairs. Why? Given complexity, the large size, it's complex system, it may not be possible for you to establish contact with everybody, given your own preoccupation with variety of agendas. Ladies and gentlemen, So relationship between individual and society, that's what, that very mechanical, the social order, mechanical. Why? It's based on collective conscience, because similarity, the nature of the people, similar profession in those areas, more or less agriculture in the rural areas, more or less hunting and food gathering people in the tribal society. That's why it is mechanical solidarity. They think alike, they live alike, they behave alike. There comes naturally the collective conscience, the collective sentiment. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. Yes. Yes. So there comes, that next, of course, what is, you spoke about mechanical solidarity. What about organic solidarity? If you ask me, yes, that happens in the modern industrial advanced society or complex society or urban society, because the very nature complex, the size, the diversity of occupation you witness. Naturally, it is not possible to have people, that think, that in a different manner, but in spite of that, you see unity. In spite of that, unity is possible. As you speak in India, unity in diversity, even the European Union, so that, that's what parallelism between India and European Union, the multipolar world, there also you see, the diversity. People speaking different, religion, different ethnicity. People speaking different language, practicing different religion, different ethnic stock, ultimately living together. That's organic solidarity, where unity and diversity, same way we are talking about India, the cultural pluralism. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So here you get, definitely here also you get solidarity, but it is organic as we come for purpose, as we form the gated community association under any ideology, under any organization, and its principles. Maybe you become part of non-governmental organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, it is highly possible it is that way. Otherwise, you got a mechanism to take care of, that ensure social order, the law and order there, by properly coordinating different elements together. You got urban local bodies there, and you got police mechanisms there. It is that way we are there is the presence of the government we are talking about. So the collective conscience, the sum total of beliefs and sentiments common to, it's a definition, sum total of beliefs and sentiments common to average members of the society. They think alike. It is sum total put together, the similarity of beliefs, similarity of sentiments. It's for everybody, average, it's in everybody. That's the meaning. That's what collective conscience, we call CC, collective conscience. Of course, very well. So in that sense, you get solidarity, a condition within a group in which there is a social cohesion plus cooperative collective action directed towards the achievement of group goals. You are directed. There comes, there you get the definition from, especially the dictionary, William P. Scott. What is solidarity? The cohesion, the social order, the integration. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So this solidarity is called mechanical solidarity. When the solidarity is based on collective conscience, collective sentiment. Otherwise, solidarity of similarity, solidarity because of homogeneity, solidarity because of people think alike, people resemble each other. So resemblance. The social stability here based on homogeneity. That it is not diversified environment, more or less similar. Homogeneity of, especially what is that? The value system, the behavior. So strong social, constraint and loyalty to tradition and kinship. It's a rural society. That's what, that Emile Durkheim himself, that gave examples for that mechanical solidarity, especially the small society, rural society, the primitive society. It is that notion we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. The division of labor, of course, here we talk about the term applied to, that we are, that still talking about division of labor, ladies and gentlemen, do not worry. Yes. So this term applied to small non-literate society, in the sense primitive society, of course, tribal society. The term applied to small society, non-literate. You should not say illiterate people. Tribal people are otherwise called pre-literate people, because they don't know what is education. Don't say they don't have technology. Even bow and arrow is called technology. See, what is, the AK-57 or BrahMos or cryogenic technology, when you say technology of your society, but for primitive people, bow and arrow is called, a technology. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nothing wrong in that. Right. So what happens, right? So the non-literate society is characterized by simple division of labor. Here too you have division of labor. If at all, it may be based on age, gender, not much. Here too you have division, not much specialized. So elders, youngers, it is that way. Maybe male, female, that division we are talking about. So it is very little specialization of function. Not much specialization you witness here. More or less, that's why we spoke. The homogeneity you witness. Similarity of profession you witness. So only few social roles are very, that little tolerance of individuality. Got the point? Na? Only few social roles and very little tolerance of individuality. You talk about, as I told you, that if you can't deviate from the collective decision of the village sarpanch or even the village panchayat, more or less you have to go. So they never tolerate, very little tolerance of individuality. They don't honor individuality because they emphasize the collectivism. As we say, that the parliamentary democracy, of course, that the collective, responsibility is the heart of parliamentary democracy. All union ministers, of course, the council of ministers collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the spirit. I think, that predominantly our the rural based Indian society led us to that level. You understand? The nature of the society is getting reflected in the law. That's what we say, values, norms becoming law. That reflects the nature of the society. That reflects the nature of the culture. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So I think, it's some more. So the mechanical solidarity, social constraint is expressed most decisively in repressive and severe criminal law, which serves to maintain mechanical solidarity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So, that violations will not be tolerated, as I said earlier, the little tolerance of, that individuality, because it's for collectivism. Otherwise, they've got, strict social control that talks about, that's why even you hear somewhere honor killings. The village sarpanch itself responsible for, that divorce of, that young couple. And otherwise honor killings, that some village sarpanch supporting. That's why I think, one All India Women Democratic Association belongs to the Communist Party, Brinda Karat, I think, she once said all judgments given by the village panchayats, should be once again reviewed by the Supreme Court, because, they're all prejudiced, maybe favoring dominant caste in that particular locality. That mostly went against, that lower caste people, downtrodden people, especially women. Ultimately, that what will happen because of the divorce, that the women and children will get affected. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So she was in that particular tone, of course, we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's in favor of that way. So why? Because the judgments given by the village panchayat may not be always, but anyways, even Supreme Court can't interfere, well. That's what the collective, the mechanism, because Supreme Court, that respects that as, social sanction of that particular village. It can't interfere. But the parallelly, and given, the various honor killings happening, that in different parts of the world, where who is, that getting affected? Women and children ultimately. Because of that, we come to know, we discuss about it. So the very, the social constraints, social control mechanisms expressed in that, that village locality or tribal areas, most decisively repressive, suppressive otherwise, with severe criminal law, severe punishments will be there. It is through that fear they maintain mechanical solidarity. Even I have witnessed in my childhood, that when I was young, that some, that deviants, that done some mistakes somewhere. My uncle and everybody, they are village leaders, of course, that they will used to ask them to kneel down in front of them. I've seen, and sometimes, that the whip in the panchayat people have done. I've seen in my young age. I used to ask definition, the clarification for that, from my mom. What is this? What is that? So it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to that, village experience, I cherish now, because that gives me the complete understanding of the society. Yes, so the social pathology, this is according to Emile Durkheim, pathology, very well, study about diseases. He talks about social pathology. We spoke in the beginning, the criminals are punished not because of the criminal activity. The criminals are punished because they have done harming to the collective sentiment already existing in the society, collective conscience. The woundings done to the collective conscience, to heal that, these guys are punished. So for that, crime is necessary according to the very Emile Durkheim. By punishing these criminals, you reinforce once again the value system of the society. The people strictly adhere to, they feel proud. Yes, I told you no, that guy will be brought to the book. It is that notion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. But at the same time, the excessive crime is pathological to the society. Everything has got its own limit. But who defines the limit? That's totally different scenario. Under what standards? For what? Is it absolute or relative, time tested? When I ask all these questions, of course, the sociological standards. This is how you are going to approach the subject matter. So social pathology, of course, talks about, especially Emile Durkheim, the abnormal division of labor. Very, that division of labor, normal division of labor, abnormal division of labor. Normal division of labor, that ultimately brings solidarity. When it becomes, that abnormal, that goes beyond, out of control, the excessiveness, it could be, maybe in terms of sometimes forced division of labor, sometimes it is, anarchic, state of lawlessness, normlessness. So he divides, in that sense, you divide division of labor into normal division of labor, abnormal division of labor. You know very well, normal division of labor brings solidarity, whether it is rural, tribal area, mechanical solidarity, urban area, it is organic solidarity. Yes. When the very division of labor, highly special, which has become very abnormal, out of control, out of proportion, it could be forced. Sometimes what happens is employment against the will of the worker. You are forcing worker to perform a particular job. He may not be passionate. He may not be, that is what happening. Most of the guys doing engineering, they are not interested. They are pressurized, forced by parents. You too should become engineer, because that in India, especially in South India, especially in Tamil Nadu, we don't grow tree in every home. Rather, we grow engineers. Whether you study mechanical, a lot of jokes videos also. Whether you study electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, once you have to go to IT job, and where you will be simply dealing with MS Office, nothing more than that. So a lot of jokes available, very well. Ladies and gentlemen, what is that? Offices. Sir, I wasn't interested because of family pressure. Now I earned. I gave them everything. They got established. I want to work for my passion, sir. I want to become civil servant, sir. I want to rule this nation, sir. So this attitude, I want to lead this nation, sir. I want to take part in setting right issues, sir. It is that way. So what happened? When something happened, when it is forced against you, outcome may not be there. That's why a lot of guys discontinuing engineering. And there are a lot of bad things also we hear in Chennai. Some engineering college students ultimately indulging in criminal activities according to police mechanisms. Right? It is that why they are forced. So when you are forced against your will, what will happen? That leads to, it is abnormal. That is pathological. And also, when the societal structure is in such a way, law and order, even the given COVID situation, it's not blaming the government. It's out of control. They can't do everything. When situation, that's a global phenomenon, global problem, right? That is what we are talking about. The state of lawlessness, normlessness, even when the lockdown principles are not strictly adhered to, how come you can expect the police mechanism to control? Because given the police to people ratio, it is not possible, right? It is that way. And the violation, otherwise it is, it's not blaming people also. It's between life and livelihood. Of course, that okay, we don't want corona, but people should not die because of poverty. They should not die because of absence of resources. It's between life and livelihood. Maybe here you can talk about that the COVID situation forcing the nations, of course, that where people are getting affected because of unemployment or poverty. It is a paradigm shift. You think about that more than 90% of the workforce in India, in the informal sector, ladies and gentlemen, they are all pushed to that what happened, right? That situation pushes to the the extreme situation where worker divorced from the production process. Otherwise, there comes alienation. Here you have to bring that alienation. The Karl Marx said because of the exploitative capitalistic system, inhuman working conditions, whereas Max Weber said highly rationalized bureaucracy. What happened, right? That's not giving you that freedom. Ultimately, you become like iron cage trapped individual. You don't have freedom. So there also you get alienated. But here, so the very, under division of labor, Emile Durkheim talking about lawlessness, normlessness, anarchy. How? Because when the workers are pushed, especially, that's abnormal division of labor, especially because of, that the very normlessness, ultimately pushing to the extreme situation where workers are getting alienated. Of course, that happened in the migrant workers. It's very fortunately given in Indian situation, thanks to Manrega. And even the present dispensation, continuously more than 59,000 crores allocation by the budget for that Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, because that ultimately absorbed all these migrant workers in the different states. They started generating a lot of jobs for them to eradicate poverty, to provide employment, and also parallelly creating rural assets that benefited given the COVID crisis situation. So it's a force to reckon with. You have to appreciate that, ladies and gentlemen. But if that's not happening, it is anomic that all workers may get alienated. Some migrants, died. Some migrants died because of poverty. Some migrants, suicide committing. All these things we hear in different news items. It is that way. So workers divorce from the production process. The estrangement. Otherwise, here you can say alienation. Ladies and gentlemen, so the normal and abnormal division of labor, where this solidarity he explains this way also. So solidarity, social order could be mechanical, organic. That mechanical in the rural tribal society, organic maybe urban industrial complex mechanism. Even that the very solidarity could be divided as that normal solidarity or abnormal solidarity. Abnormal solidarity maybe that forced or even the very anomic. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the right time. Let's move right. Organic solidarity, it is solidarity. Of course, we talk about the unity based on interdependence of large specialized roles. We are involving complex division of labor. You know this. The increasing density of population is a major key to the development of division of labor. Why division of labor? Because naturally when the size increases, the problems increases. The complexity increases. You have to address that complexity. For that, you need specialization, experts. That is why division of labor. It is that way. So with increasing in the division of labor, the collective conscience lessens. That's what we spoke in the urban society, the industrial society, that where you cannot get the collective conscience or collective sentiment, what you witnessed in the rural area. Otherwise, people migrated from rural to urban areas in pursuit of job. They will develop different culture. Because that guy has to go to job or, whether work from home, whatever, maybe he has got priorities. Any guy coming from rural area, maybe his friend or relative, he can't, immediately accommodate because, he is afraid, that it may affect his employment. What will happen ultimately? He is running after job, but the guy coming from rural area will start, that blaming that guy, saying that you changed. This guy completely changed. People go to city, people go to US completely, they change. They never come back. They throw away all the relationship. This is accusation. Partially, it may be to some extent from affected people, right? But the point is that it is a different value system they started subscribing. But you are evaluating those guys because you want them to go to US. You feel proud. My son in America, my son in UK. And your end days, nobody is coming. Only in the neighborhood, people are taking care. But you are very proud to say they are all in there. They are. Feel proud. Of course, you benefited the economic resources school. But it's not blaming them. They can't immediately come back given the situation, their employment, transportation, all those stuffs. What will happen ultimately? It puts you, ultimately, that you start accusing. Otherwise, your neighbors, your relatives will be accusing. See, they were proud once, but they are in such a way. It is evaluating their standards from your standards. You have become ethnocentric. That's what sociology. Different value system you have to practice. You actually cherish that value system. Now you started, blaming them. It is that way you understand these nuances. Later, there won't be blaming game. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about. So whatever may be. So this increasing density of population is a major key for the division of labor. With increase in division of labor, that collective conscience, that collectivism, that affinity towards community, affinity towards, the family, affinity to, except the primary group, your collectivity with the rest of the entity, coming down. Because you don't have time, because your priority differs. It is not busy. It's all about priority in life, ladies and gentlemen, we know well. So you send message, someone is not responding. What is the point ultimately? What is the meaning? It is not they are busy. If Prime Minister calls, immediately they will attend. If the President of India calls, immediately they will attend. But why, that they are not taking your call? Because you are not in their priority list. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand. It's not busy. It's all about priority in life. You understand? You have to, that establish relationship accordingly. It is that way we come to know. So that affinity comes down because priority differs. So the criminal law tends to be replaced by civil and administrative law. Here, Because that is what the tendency of the punishment mechanism. You have to understand, that even we are talking about abolition of capital punishment. Hang him, execute him, the guillotine machine. That is what the past slogan. But today we say, you give him opportunity. I think this the capital punishment or life imprisonment are too long. I think some years enough for making him understand, to realize. The moment he is aware of the family, the moment he is aware of his own, the community, especially in solitude, especially in solitary situation, especially that he is alone, and he or she will start understanding the mistakes. Sometime, even thanks to Madam Kiran Bedi, she converted that Tihar jail into that a reformation camp like that. There are people like that. There is also possibility that can be done in a speedy manner, as we have seen in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So, but the nature of the punishment mechanisms, today, you should know what is the trend. It is not punitive. It is not with the intention of punishing people. Rather, curative. Rather, giving opportunity to cure. That is what we are talking about. So that's why we are talking about abolition of capital punishment and reducing, even that on important days of our leaders, birthday, whatever maybe, we sometimes that bring down the sentences, the period for that some criminals are released. This is all a mark of that honor. You come to know a lot of things. It is that way. So the tendency of the punishment should not be to the punitive, rather curative, reformative, with you of reforming. You think about that you talk today, even that the children less than 18 years age committing criminal offences, they should not be treated on par with criminals. Otherwise they will become criminal to the core. Well, they should be treated separately. Maybe casual offenders or maybe bad company. So that's why we are talking about juvenile delinquency. The delinquent schools we are talking about. Sirar school, Sirar Palli in Tamil. I'm talking about juvenile delinquency, juvenile that schools. Reformative schools, where they ultimately transform. Sometimes, it is that way we are talking about. Sometimes when they enter into, bad people, there itself, it's a different scenario that we are not talking about. So, criminal law tends to be replaced by civil and administrative law. That in that sense, you move from punitive mechanism to, curative mechanism or reformative mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand the trend of today. See, that's why they are all statesmen. That's why they are all social scientists. What we are practicing today, they already said. Their ideology is living even after their death. When they are absent, their ideas, it's relevant today. You understand? It is that way. So increasing organic solidarity would represent moral progress. That is what. So moving from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity, it's a moral progress. Here it may be value laden. When you say moral progress, people may not, is it people may question this also. On some cases like this, the Durkheim is questioned, you have become unsociologic. It is that way. But in Durkheim's opinion, it is moral progress. Ladies and gentlemen, it is right time. Let's move. State of normlessness, anami, is a strict counterpart of idea of solidarity. It is opposite of that social order. Anami is just because norm, anam, normlessness, social solidarity or social order, otherwise opposite anami, strict counterpart. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. Just as solidarity is a state of collective ideological integration, anami is a state of confusion. When you talk about clarity here, it is confusion. When you talk about social solidarity here, you talk about confusion and chaos. And people start feeling insecure here. So the collective representations are the CC, the collective sentiments are in the state of decay. Why? When you move from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity, we call social progress. But mechanical solidarity you attain because of collective sentiment, collective conscience, definitely they will come down. Because here what? The organic solidarity, of course, it's totally different parameters. You bring diversified elements into, here also by bring proper coordination, you bring social order. But this is called organic solidarity. Movement from mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity is called social progress, according to Emile Durkheim. In that process, that you leave collective conscience, collective sentiment there. That's why people gone to that urban areas, settled in urban areas. People gone to that Western countries, got established there. They lose their connectivity with the tradition. Not everyone. It is not accusing them. Of course, you have to understand different value system in practice, different parameters in practice. So that you won't blame. So that you start understanding. In spite of that, people trying to overcome that, so that they also parallelly try to address that beyond that value system. These are all the things we also see some associations formed there. They take care of their own nativity, sponsoring people. That a lot of that I know that one Senthil, especially that from United States of America, asking me to sponsor some students here. So it is different thing we are coming to know. That's totally different. So this is social progress according to Emile Durkheim. But where CC comes down in practice, it's opposite also. Some people exceptionals. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. It is right time. Let's move. Division of labor is resulting in growth of individualism. Of course, as we said, you can take care of yourself, you are expert, you are highly specialized. What will happen? The breakdown in the shared commitment that leads to ultimately you are capable of taking care of yourself. In that sense, you ultimately break down from shared commitment to the social norms. That leads to anarchy. As we spoke, it is another version. Sometimes that leads to personal and social disorganization. This independence, fantastic, good. You can take care of yourself. The moment you lose connectivity, that's what kite story we say. However height may be, the kite may fly. The moment that it loses the controller's touch, the thread hold by the very controller, the master, it's over. Then it's oscillating somewhere, no destination. But as long as it is under the control of the guy, who is directing with the thread, the kite, it may fly so high, fantastic, it looks fantastic. The moment it loses its root, of course, the control, it's over. It becomes meaningless. It's chaos. It is that way. The moment you lose your root, that is why don't focus on the fruit. Keep your eyes on the root. Water. You have to water the root. You don't worry about fruit. People ultimately forget this philosophy, the principle. I'm not recommending anything on the part of sociology here. We talk about, you try to link with this. This is what Emile Durkheim says. The people, once they break down the shared commitment to that, the collectivism as a social norm, definitely that leads to anarchy in the society, normlessness, even the personal disorganization. The people are getting, that over the days, they start feeling lonely, solitary, solitude. But of course, that you may become artists in that way, but that's totally different scenario, ladies and gentlemen. So if all the members of society tied to the common set of symbolic representations, beliefs about the world around them, the moral unity of the society would be safe. This is the ensuring social order once again. When you got close tie-up, there comes solidarity. That's the meaning. Without them, any society, whether they are primitive or modern, would bound to degenerate and decay. That's according to Durkheim. So he talks about, in all his talks, that he ensures society with social order. Otherwise, in his terms, society with social solidarity. It could be mechanical, it could be organic. Got the idea? So the division of labor, it's not as specialized as urban areas in the rural area. So the context differs, but everywhere you find solidarity, reinforcing the solidarity. All these things we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So the professional associations, corporates, that is the reason that you got reconciliation mechanism, arbitration, mediation, even the courts, the tribunals, the Kaveri River Water Tribunal mechanism. You got arbitration, you talk about mediation, you talk about. So all disputes are reconciled, settled in such a way, through accommodative mechanisms we are talking about. So between corporates and workers. So why? To bring solidarity. Even highly industrial urban society, you also have solidarity. It is organic solidarity. Why? By having the effective negotiations, reconciliation. You also bring everybody to the table so that you ensure order. Otherwise it may have impact on productivity of that particular organization. Yes, it is that way. So now we are going to criticize hitherto what we spoke, ladies and gentlemen. It is called the criticism. The division of labor results in alienation. We spoke already, because of when it is anarchic division of labor. State of lawlessness also leading to the division of labor. But Karl Marx that said about exploitation leading to alienation, and Max Weber said about highly rationalized bureaucracy that converts you into iron cage trapped individual. You don't have freedom to move here, there. You are completely governed by rules and regulation, by hierarchy, by obedience. So there also alienation. So it is that way. So it's a parallelism we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. What is that? Social fact. It is next that contribution. I think we have to go a little bit faster. It's time. What is social fact? We are going to elaborate. In the beginning itself, we explained to some extent. According to Emile Durkheim, sociology is nothing but study of social facts. Especially in his contribution, The Rules of Sociological Method, he talks about this. When he says social facts, he talks about category of facts with distinctive characteristics. So for that, what are all that? The characteristics, that distinctive characteristics. Of course, that's what I give you normally, the code called DEEC. See, I'm yet to specialized in this. Distinct, external, enduring, coercive. So that is the point. When you talk about, you just imagine language. First example, take example. Language is distinct because you are a human being. That is a language. You are concrete. That is abstract. It is quite distinct from you, no doubt. Because you are a human being, that is language. Language is the vehicle of the culture. It is a medium of communication. It is part of the culture. The culture is the blueprint of the society. Because somehow you got your own language. You learn a lot of languages also, because necessity is mother of invention. So as to establish proper communication to successfully complete the life, that's totally different scenario. Anyway, you are different from language. You are human being, concrete human being, that is abstract language. It is distinct, cool. So in that sense, which is distinct, then external, it is external to you. Externality. What is the point? It is not inside you, it is external to you. It is not you are born with language. You know that when you are born, you say, meh, people touched you ultimately. You started, meh, oh, it is alive. Then ultimately they started, that teaching you. You started imitating. Mummy, daddy, whatever may be, that Mataji, Pitaji, whatever may be, Amma, Appa. See, it's totally depending on your socialization. It's an imitation process. You're not born with language. Something which is external came to you through the process called socialization, which is external. And that there was a language, you entered into that. Even after your death, there is going to be language. That's why it's called enduring, we are talking about. And also coercive, that's threatening. What happened now when you commit mistake? Oh, I'm sorry, the slip of the tongue. I'm sorry, gentlemen. Maybe when you are committing mistakes, maybe wrong usage of vocabulary, even the grammatical mistake. Otherwise, your language is misunderstood. Some languages, we got him. So very famous, that phrase. Of course, once that Saddam Hussein got arrested, in all tabloids, newspaper came the title, we got him. It is that way, the famous phrase. We are talking about simple, as I said, in the Pokhran, India's nuclear testing, Buddha smiles, Buddha smiled again. Famous slogans. So what happened? That exercises, that constraint in you, coercive in you. So language which is distinct from you, which is external to you, you took in, and which is also enduring character. What do you mean by enduring? Language was there, you came, and even after death of yours, there is going to be language. You came in the middle. Men may come, men may go. Language will be there. Whatever may be the language. Sometimes language may not survive long because people never practice. That's totally different scenario. We are not entering into that argument. That's totally different scenario. That's why the government's ultimately taking steps to revive, otherwise to facilitate, through scholars, through various measures. That's totally different scenario. So the social fact is all about that example language. This is what the point. So they exercise, they are independent, external, of course, they exercise constraint. They are very general, that it is very Emile Durkheim way of, providing this, that particular statement. This is what, let me put it very simply. Have the code DEEC. Distinct, external, enduring, coercive. You please note down all these things so that you won't, find problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's that way. So what is that, sir? Can you tell me something more? I don't get you. What is that, sir? Of course, you said language is social fact. The name of studying about society, you study about social facts. Say language, social institution, custom, tradition. These are all examples according to, that Emile Durkheim. Let me speak something more about it. It consists of ways of acting. This is how you have to behave. It talks about ways of thinking. It talks about ways of feeling, which is external to the individual, but capable of, which is endowed with the power of coercion, threatening you and controlling you. They are the remote control. The social institution taming you, conditioning you to the expectations of society, whether it is family, marriage, education institution, economic institution, political institution, or your caste identity, say social stratification, whatever may be. They are taming you. They exercise considerable control over you. You get conditioned. That's why you never find conflict. If you're not properly tamed, untamed human being, what will happen? There comes conflict. You become deviant. Ultimately, you know that there are guys, deviants becoming criminals. Ultimately, they are punished, brought to the book. Life may not be peaceful. That way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, you know, that it talks about the ways with which you act, you think, you feel, which is byproduct of your socialization. These are all the ways. This is what culture for which you get exposed through socialization. They institutionalize you, you internalize in turn, put together called socialization. There comes ultimately the inculcation of value system. Your character is born, your personality is born, which is said to be completely in conformity with the expectations of society. So this way, so a phase of behavior which is subjective to the observer and has coercive nature. Got the idea, na? You got special feeling about it. You are subjective, not objective. You get the point? It is that way. So a phase of behavior which is subjective to observer and has coercive nature. You know that from the observer point of view, we are talking about this subjectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not I said, it's not Emile Durkheim. It is according to E.S. Bogardes, who spoke about social distance. We spoke already earlier. Social distance. The scale talks about Bogardes scale even. Physical distance due to social reasons. This Bogardes. Not only that, the requirement of, you know, Durkheimian sociology. The subject of sociology must be specific, because he was trying to establish sociology as a science. Must be specific and is to be observed, explained in the manner similar to the way in which the facts are observed or explained in other sciences. Got the idea, na? So this talks about, you know, that sociology as a science. He was delineating the subject matter of sociology, how it is different from other social sciences, even natural sciences, applying the methods of natural sciences also in positivism. It is that way. So there, the main currents in sociological thought, a book written by Raymond Aron, where, you know, that he talks about his contribution. Emile Durkheim's, you know, especially the very social fact. Some more, social facts must be regarded as, though it is very abstract, the language is abstract, but it should be treated as things. It should be treated like concrete item. And we have to get rid of ourselves from the preconceptions and prejudices. You know, of course, prejudices you talk about, you know, that are bias or influence which can incapacitate us when we try to know social facts scientifically. Got the point now? So, you know, that this is what sociological sense, you know, that you be open for challenges, open for learning. Don't have preconceived notion. And even when you ask, you know, that the students to read a particular lines in the editorial page, you know, they will have their own notion with that preoccupation, they will read. There will be one word, they will be announcing, you know, that another word. They'll be spelling another word, because that comes out of mind. People with preoccupations read. That's what I'm saying. So here Emile Durkheim says social facts must be regarded as things, though it is abstract in nature, should be given concrete treatment. And we have to get rid of ourselves, all our preconceptions, bias, prejudices. You know, that what happened, that ultimately makes us, you know, that incapacitate us. We can't do anything. So the moment you are prejudiced, you know, incapacitate us when we try to know the social facts scientifically. So you are supposed to be free from the prejudices, bias when you study social facts. It is talking about objective study, though it is abstract. The society is abstract. As we do concrete treatment, we are talking about society. I'm not giving 50 grams of society to you. I'm not giving, you know, 2 meters of society to you. But somehow you come to know about society. I know about society. You know about society, where we reach some sort of, you know, that understanding, the consensus. You also agree over some points. You may also, you know, the disagree. Let's agree to disagree parallel. Nothing wrong. And you can pose questions also parallelly. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. This is called objectivity, not becoming subjective, especially from observer point of view. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So social, you know, the facts are inexplicable. You can't explain in terms of, you know, irreducible either to psychological. It can't be explained in terms of psychological aspect or physiological analysis, because social facts are external to the individuals. They exercise a constraint. That's what we spoke on, you know, that constraint on them, whether you are behaving in a crowd or performing in a fashion or your belief system, even, you know, that part of social institutions, all put together. So let me repeat once again: distinct, external, enduring, coercive. That's what characteristic features of social facts. For example, language. or even for you go for custom, tradition, belief system, social institutions, you apply all these principles, it will be definitely meeting. In the name of studying about society, you study about all these things. They are otherwise called social facts. Sociology of social facts, study of social facts. That's what Emile Durkheim, ladies and gentlemen. So society in reality. So what you are talking society in reality, it is not someone who came, the God came and created this society, Adam and Eve. People talk that way. It is biblical theory, maybe religious theory. So society came on its own. It is not someone came and declared hereafter it is going to be society. No, it's not like that. That's what according to Emile Durkheim. Society, it's a Suyambu. In Tamil it's called Suyambu. Even in Chuyambulingam lay, Chuyambu, you can learn the same way. It is that way. It's its own creation. Nobody came and created, established. It came on its own. Even the Karl Marx says social formation on its own. But without the support of people, you can never form. It came. It's not somebody came and established. It's not conscious creation. It came on its own. So that's why society in its reality is sui generis, its own creation. But this own generation is above and also apart from individuals. That's why that society is more than individuals. Sum is more than its parts. Whole is more than its parts. Whole more than its units. Society, its own creation, sui generis. I think you got the point, but in spite of that, it is above the individuals. It's apart from the individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the right time. I think, let's move. Heterogeneity of individuals, we talk about. The collective states of mind, the difference in individuals' attitude and behavior results in group situation. Especially the results from group situation. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about, H.E. Barnes, what he spoke about this, that the Emile Durkheim's contribution, we are talking about the heterogeneity of individuals, collective states of mind, the difference in individuals' attitude and behavior, all these things emanating from the group situation, he owes to collectivity, society. So once again, society is more than individual. Even when individual is committing suicide, it's because of the society, where Emile Durkheim talks about social reason forcing an individual in committing suicide. He's a fantastic person, but why he committed? It's because of the societal pressure. And there he talks about types also. Ladies and gentlemen, so finding social reason behind all individuals' decision, individuals' action. That's what that Emile Durkheim, where this particular point is getting reinforced by H.E. Barnes. And uniformities of social statistics and analogy and philosophical theory of emergence of society, that he is reinforcing Emile Durkheim's opinion. That's the point. And more than that, social facts are independent of individual manifestations. Got the point? It's own. It's not depending on anybody. That's what that we spoke that particular point. It is external to that the society you talk about. It has got its own specific location, specific position in the social structure, which is independent of the individual manifestations. You have to understand, ladies, it's not interdependent. It's not depending on anything. As a language, it has got that its own externality. We are talking about external the characteristics. Not only that, here also that very Emile Durkheim gone to the extent of talking about the types of social facts: morphological, institutionalized forms, non-institutionalized forms, normal and pathological. This thing we already discussed. So he also recognizes that the structured, institutionalized, non-institutionalized types of social facts are characterizing the variety of social facts, or grouping them, are going for the typologies. It is that way he has done, taking that social facts to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, wow, now it is time for attacking Emile Durkheim. What? The criticism. Come on, Emile Durkheim, you're always talking about society. Without individual, you will form society. Of course, I hear your mind voice. You are giving too much of emphasis or premium on society. That is what the accusation. So, the too much of premium on society, the social facts completely ignoring the importance of individuals. See, you became this and that because of society. What about my effort? What about my passion? What about my imagination? What about my creativity? Who will speak on behalf of me? When we keep on talking about, the family or social institution, society, who will be speaking on behalf of me? Who will understand me? Of course, there may be the concern on the part of every individual. Na? You lose, sometimes you consume yourself in the society, na? Maybe by sacrifice. But who is going to take care of you? Of course, your mom is no more. As an individual, every individual with that particular, pain for your kind information, but that is wrong, because you are here, you are more than that. You are to address the pains of others. Don't feel that someone should come and address. You are here to address somebody else, because you are great. You are sent by God. Think that way so that you won't get that feel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. That demands, superiority on your part. Superiority complex, let it be. It's going to make you move. Not by inferiority complex, you are going to set, you are going to limit yourself. Better to have, superiority complex. Where I am talking about solution part, it is unsociologic. But come to this, subject, too much of, emphasis on society. In that path, you ignore the importance of individual. That's, the conflict school perspective. Of course, Lewis Coser attacking, Emile Durkheim. Not only that, Durkheim did not make clear the meaning of social facts as things. Those social facts, very abstract, they should be given concrete treatment. How? Which can mean many things to many people. That's what H.E. Barnes criticizing. Ladies and gentlemen, there also that, all subjects are evolving same way. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. Every subject, you will have no criticism. Every subject will have its own, limitation. The same way, you will understand in every social scientist. Right, it is that way. In spite of that, their contributions appreciated. That made difference in our understanding about society, right? Yes. So the comparative sociology of Durkheim, because he started analyzing with other social sciences while delineating a separate subject, that matter meant for the very sociology. Of course, it is not a branch of sociology. The comparative sociology of Durkheim, it is not a branch of sociology, but sociology itself, because the subject matter, while delineating the subject matter we are talking about, right? It is that way. So, the people gone to the extent of treating that the comparative sociology as a branch of sociology. No, that's wrong. So what we are doing is, sociology itself. It is that way. That's a criticism. So Durkheimian analysis of society lacks, running short of, bereft otherwise of individuals. You give too much of emphasis on society, too premium on society or collectivity in the name of social solidarity, mechanical, organic, or social reason, whatever may be. In that process, you forget the individual or importance of the individual. The criticism from another gentleman, of course, sociologist Gabriel Tarde. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, some more. Durkheim's use of, that the very, statistical analysis with which we are going to, justify the very suicide. Of course, this is another contribution called suicide. Basically well about suicide. Suicide, an act of killing one's own self. Sui generis, just so we, that we spoke. Sui, on its own self. Side, killing one's own self is called suicide. I think, you come across agricultural farmers committing, suicide, that because the agriculture ultimately not for profit, they are unable to make their, their daughter's marriage or, the kids' education, whatever may be. All these things, government working hard to meet that standards, all those. And even, that the informal sector, the Atal Pension Yojana scheme, even after the death of this informal worker, even the spouse will be given, the very, the pension, the same amount of pension. We are all talking about the government, in so many ways, trying to fix the issues through institutional lending and also some 6,000, rupees per person of that agricultural, that household. It is that way, apart from various measures. In spite of that, we hear, well, it is extreme situation. When individual commits and omits himself, you go to the commitment and omitting yourself. You don't want to be part of the society. That's the extreme situation. That's an extreme call on the part of any individual. That is what Durkheim's use of, he says on the basis of the statistical analysis about suicide. But for your information, what is suicide? Of course, we are talking is also a social fact. According to Durkheim, suicide is also a social fact. Because that deals with that social order disorder, whatever may be, the social order or disorder, the very root of suicide. He finds social reason for forcing an individual committing suicide. It's that way. But at the same time, the very Emile Durkheim rejecting the extra social factors, that maybe the psychological reason or biological reason or genetic or climatic or geographical factors. He is outrightly rejecting all this. He refutes all extra social factors. Only society is responsible. He is very stubborn because for him, society is more than individual. Premium, the emphasis he has given to the society. That's why he is accused, what may be, to support his empirical evidence. So, that the proof, his own sociological explanation of suicide. Got the point, na? So, that is that way, because he has got evidence based on his own statistics, but people also attack later the statistics. Exceptions cannot be examples. People come to know, of course, this is the Francis we are talking about. It is that way. It is extreme form of sociological realism. When you talk about that suicide, it is extreme form. It's almost like that exaggeration to some extent, too much of premium on society. For everything you blame society, that way, that notion. Otherwise, you are handmaid of society, you are byproduct of society. It is that byproduct of collectivity, that way. It's extreme form of sociological realism. Of course, the individual act, but the motive behind suicide can be understood only in social context. This is Emile Durkheim's statement. Because he justifies, it's not only simply speaking, the incidence of suicide they varied from one social group to another. For example, he justifies in the more number of suicides in Protestantism than Catholics in Christianity. The urban areas, because of that the loneliness, anonymous, nobody is taking care, nobody is questioning him. Hey, have you taken food? Are you happy? No, because everybody busy running after their own. It's not possible in the urban area or industrial complex society. There, the suicide, because the privacy, the people may not be knowing what you do inside your that apartment. You lock yourself. What you do? Sometimes we come to know after a week there is a dead body because the bad smell. These are all the things happening in the society. But the rural area, when guy is not that in right mood, people will say, hey, that guy is looking very bad. Something wrong. So that ultimately the whole community will support you by some mechanism. But that the binding, that the socialness may not be possible the urban areas. That is why. So the larger cities, urban areas, they're highly vulnerable for this the suicide tendencies on the part of individual than the small communities where you feel binding, the collectivism. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So it's not only that people are lonely, living alone. They have the tendency to commit more. This is also reported. So that the broken family, the single parent family. Otherwise, that the people lost. That there are so many reasons. Very well. People have become the debt trapped. Otherwise, so otherwise when they don't. That is the reason all family members that I've heard that a lot of students on the day of result that I said my sister used to tell. That on the day of result, that she, all, my cousin, of course, I should talk that way. They'll be surrounding the very person, that aspirant. Anything goes wrong, that guy should not go to wrong decision. Like the family will be supporting, sleeping tightly along with him, so that guy never, he never goes to the extreme situation. So the family, the support, the bond you get from that family may not be there when individuals living alone. So the extent to which that the individuals that integrated into social bond, it is that way. So whatever may be, it is, ladies and gentlemen, it's about suicide, finding social reason, and we are in that Emile Durkheim's the contribution, one of the contributions, of course, suicide. This that he talks about 4 types of suicide. What that, and there is actually a logic in bhakti, devotional philosophy, especially. In Tamil literature, it is available. I somewhat learned somewhere, and I think it is right time. Let me share with you. You will understand. There is in devotional literature. There is you got 2 kinds of philosophies: cat philosophy, monkey philosophy. The cat philosophy, very well you would have seen how the cat holds its kitten. No, not at all. It's ultimately, is it so? Definitely, yeah. It's opposite philosophy. When you deal with cat and monkey, what happens, right? The monkey, it's not the monkey taking care of the young one. The young one should go and hug the mom in such a way. So the hold of monkey, how it is that way. People say that how stringent it is. But whereas in the cat, it's totally different. The cat, it says, what is that? So the cat will, of course, that will hold the very kitten on its, that mouth, and wherever it goes, it will be carrying. The cat carrying and kitten, whereas in the monkey's philosophy, it's totally different. What is that? It is that way. Ultimately, the young one should go and hug the mum and hold the mum. Otherwise, it may die, fall from the tree, whatever may be the height. When God coming down to embrace the devotees. It is that principle of, that the cat philosophy. Devotees, by pious devotion, hugging or reaching the God or embracing the God. That's monkey's philosophy. This is what, that. So the same way we are going to replace this all cats, monkeys, that the God, devotees, all those stuff. Here we are going to replace in terms of social order, individual and social order. It is that way. When, it is that way you talk about, that when societal order, it is that way, you talk about, here is an individual. When individual has got, that more attachment with the society. He's ready to sacrifice. Maybe one guy committing, that suicide, saying that, this society, COVID situation, a lot of people are dying, they are not, their issues are not addressed, let me go. It is that way. If anyone is dying, that's also suicide for the welfare of the society. He says, let me protest, that may my, of course, one guy, Muthukumar, died for the Sri Lankan cause when LTTE, the severe battle going on in Sri Lanka, in all auto stands you see the photo. In Tamil Nadu I am talking about, ladies and gentlemen, the ethnic connectivity with which, the emotional attachment with Sri Lankan Tamils for the cause of the separate Elam. Here people show solidarity. That happened. One guy self-immolated himself. During OBC reservation, some people commit self-immolation to show solidarity, especially to the forward caste, not to favor that OBC reservation. All those things happen. So for the sake of, community, for the sake of society, if one guy, I'm not talking about forced suicide that politicians resorting to during. I'm not talking about. There are guys, for some money. It is that way. So for the welfare of the society, one dies because of the excessive attachment with the society. That's called altruistic suicide. But when an individual lacks attachment with the society, that may be called egoistic society. No bond. When the bond is too strong, it's altruistic suicide. For the welfare of society, as a token of protest, this guy dying, so that the government will look into, so that, that all issues will be taken care of. That thing happening now. That's why, that in front of, you would have heard some, that exorbitant interest with which, that the lending, that non-institutionalized lending, some people got debt trapped and going to, some collected, especially that happened in Tirunelveli, I believe. Tuticorin, Tirunelveli, even Coimbatore also it happened. So the people demanding, exorbitant interest, ultimately they could not live happily. So they went in front of, that the collectorate ultimately attempted to, self-immolate. So that becomes an issue. So there comes government ultimately to address the issue. This is all the, that attention mongering. Of course, this is all happening, but of course it is an issue. It's opportunity for the government to address the issue. We have to think that way. Let it be. So when no attachment with the society, bond is weak. The individual's attachment with the society is weaker. That is called egoistic society. This is one way of explaining. So on the basis of individual's attachment or individual's detachment, excessive attachment, fatalistic. Excessive attachment, altruistic. And detachment, of course, egoistic. We have got another order. So societal social control order mechanism, we are taking into account. When there is no social order, this is anami, state of lawlessness, normlessness, no regulation on individual, nobody is taking care. But excessive regulation, maybe, that you say like military, like, that you are not given freedom, unable to tolerate, maybe communist regimes like that. Excessive, too much of regulation, it is fatalistic. Too much of everything is bad. That's totally different scenario. So it is that way. Individual's attachment and individual's detachment, or excessive social control on individual, or absence of social control on individual. Accordingly, you got 4 types. That's what I'm talking about. Excessive attachment, altruistic. Detachment with the society, egoistic. Excessive social control mechanism on individuals, fatalistic. Absence of social control mechanisms in regulating the society, that's normlessness, anamic suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 types of suicide. It is linking with society, social order, or individual's attachment with the society. Whatever may be the type, there comes, ultimately society. So for individual suicide, Emile Durkheim identifies social reason. You understand, ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. So egoistic suicide, the lack of integration of individual into social group. That's what already the example cited. In Protestantism, more, that suicides than Catholics in Christianity. That is the example. This is apart from 4 types, that we are talking about. Now, of course, I think, we spoke at length. In spite of that, let me touch this point. Altruistic suicide. over integration of individual into his social group. Taking one's own life, taking off one's own life for the sake of the cause. In Japan, it's called, harakiri, the disembowelment. For the sake of, that society, they die. Japanese harakiri. And self-immolation, sati, the ancient practice. When the husband dies, the women has to die. Women will be pushed into, I think Padmavati movie you would have watched recently. How that Deepika Padukone, that commits self-immolation when she hears that, that the king died in the war battle. Of course, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. So, the sati, that's also, that sacrifice, that and upholding the value system for the sake of, welfare of the society. Sati, of course, you talk about self-immolation. Some Buddhist monks especially, they commit self-immolation. It is that they throw the body for fire at the end. It is that way that's happening. Sometimes, purification, some self-destruction, otherwise, attainment of nirvana by, the ancient Hindu sages, that under the Brahmanical influences. We are talking, all these things happen in the past, and some things, that Japanese harakiri and, what happened when India banned, that abolition of sati. But some people, the pious people, want to uphold the system. They cross that, that India border, that especially went to Pakistan, that the stateless, the land where they went, committed these things. These are all the case studies available. Ladies and gentlemen, people are very keen to commit that, in pushing women to, especially to prove her, the holiness, sacredness, what is this here? Okay, whatever maybe we are, of course, it's value laden, but I don't know. People lived with that value system, it will be judgmental. I don't want to be ethnocentric, that either appreciating or protesting, whatever maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, because we are sociology, let's live with sociological spirit. Come back. What is this? Anomic suicide, state of lawlessness, normlessness, we are talking about. So, this is absence of law and order, forcing an individual to commit, why, when it may happen, absence of law and order. Maybe it is because of economic disaster, maybe economic recession. And of course, the COVID situation today we are talking about. Maybe industrial crisis. Some students, that's why I appreciate the district collector who came forward to instill confidence in the minds of the people, that we salute you, gentlemen, on behalf of India, and whoever may be that collector. What happens, right? That guy came, the district collector came and said in front of the students, because some students after 10th results, plus 2 results committing suicide, that immediately that collector released his 10th mark. See, only this much I got in my 10th, I became collector. So that's fantastic measure. So we have to appreciate that guy. Right, it is that way. What happened, right? So there are, after exams results, they have to understand, only, that the Kamaraj, the great leader, studied only up to 5th standard. That's why he reached, but don't say, if you would have studied well, he would have reached, the United Nations Secretary General or whatever may be. But you have to appreciate, that nothing to do. It is not quantification of education, rather it speaks about quality of education, the education with value system, that matters a lot. Come back, I think, so what happens, right? So industrial crisis, even the COVID situation you can link, the sudden economic prosperity also, sometimes you are, there are guys unable to handle the success. I've witnessed in my life some people, they've got everything, they've got, prosperity, name, fame, but they don't know how to handle the success. How to handle the failure is different. How to handle the success is very, very important. I think, not only that, this one thing happened recently also, someone committed suicide, but the same way in the industrial front, one entrepreneur was awarded. So that guy came to the stage and he was, that dancing with that award, and there itself he got collapsed in front of, all audience. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about. So that scenario, but whatever may be, sometimes all these things, whatever may be, here we are talking about nothing to do with that individual health reason, but something to do with, state of lawlessness, normlessness, we are talking about. I think we should not speak more, some more. Yes, egoistic suicide, as I told you, right, individual's lack of attachment, otherwise the kind of apathy, dissatisfaction, or absence of attachment. So it is, we are talking about egoistic, but altruistic, of course, that altruistic just opposite, for the sake of, for the welfare of the state, one is dying, that involves, that different, anomic we spoke again, all these things, we are talking about, that reinforcing once again, the very, that Emile Durkheim's, the contribution. And also Emile Durkheim, that was very successful in establishing suicide as a social fact, the specific social phenomena, govern individual phenomena, most impressive, the most eloquent example of social forces, driving individuals to the death. So finding social reason behind an individual's, that suicide. That is the thing, whether it is, individual's attachment, detachment, or social order, whether it is absence or excessiveness. Of course, so that's getting reinforced by Raymond Aron, especially in main currents in sociological thought. Now it's time to attack, Emile Durkheim's, the very contribution called suicide. Yes, society is real, to be sure, but so is the individual. And the two should be remembered is always in interaction. Giving priority to one another is misleading. That's according to Lewis-Coser. Hello, without individual, there is no society. Of course, if there is no society, individuals can't be nurtured for all-round satisfaction. How come you can always talk about for one thing, you are keep on finding, another thing acting as a source? And if that is the case, even for social formation, individuals are source. But for your own convenience, you are taking society, giving premium position to society and belittling individual. So that particular aspect is, that attacked now by Lewis-Coser. I think parallelly, so it is one-sided view because sheer negligence of the role of psychological. Sometimes, the people, psycho, something gone wrong. There are extreme individuals, maybe their socialization got disturbed, or, that marital disturbances sometimes. People have, that gone psycho. When something gone wrong on psyche, mind, they become psycho. Maybe psychological reason. Abrupt decision, the extreme emotional decision, and how to handle emotions, maybe lack of emotional intelligence, something deal. All these things, maybe reason. How come, that you can outrightly reject that particular reason? It's maybe sometimes, individuals' personal problem. Of course, maybe something gone wrong, not getting proper counseling from the psychiatrist. As that your physical, the disease for which you meet the doctor, even for that's what psychiatrists say. Even if you've got any problem mentally, nothing wrong, you have to meet psychiatrists and get that curation. Start thinking in different lines so that that's counseling. Well, it is that way. So based on small sample of data, that statistics people started questioning. On what basis you say Emile Durkheim? So Durkheim did not give importance to extra social factors. That of suicide. That's what, he outrightly rejected extra social factors. That's what criminologists, that see. That there will be always tendency, sometimes the genealogical factor. If, that if some members in some family, I've seen a lot of 4 to 5 people committed, that somewhat, that influencing, it is in the gene. Somewhat they have to go counseling, meeting psychiatrists. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen, it is outrightly rejecting the extra social factors, extra non-social factors sometimes, some other scientific factors, maybe psychological factors even. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. I think it is the right time, that come on, let's move faster. Yes, it is the final contribution of Emile Durkheim. It is, of course, that as I told you, religion as collective representation, where that Emile Durkheim spoke about collective conscience. People come together, ultimately, they attribute, that a stone or plant or animal has got power in that, then they start venerating. This particular thing, he identified the tribe, especially Australian Aborigines, where he found, that the primitive religion called totemism, worshipping, that it's a plant or animal was worshipped, as which has got power in that. That's called totemism, worshipping the totem. Even in the Coimbatore belt, of course, you hear Annangutam, Kadakutam. So for every, the clan, there will be, that one particular totem will be there. They worship, but on special occasion, they don't eat. On special occasion, they will eat that. You hear, it's called, clan. I'm talking about clan, because you trace your origin, father side, mother side. That's called lineage, maybe patrilineal, matrilineal. When that lineage comes together, that's called clan. A group will be called clan. Lineage, when several clans combining together, making phratries. Several phratries combining together called moieties. Okay, it is that way, that lineage, clan, phratry, you will come to know. Then moiety, then it becomes tribe. Moiety, that T divided by, that 2, which is equal to M. Moiety, the phratry. You also that you just, get the help of dictionary, you are going to search, that it may help you in understanding. This is how you trace your lineage. It becomes group, clan, it becomes bigger group, phratry combining together moiety. 2 moieties ultimately making a tribe. This is what the classification, the direction, path in such a way. Of course, it is right time. So I'm talking about this clan will have its own totem. Every clan will have its own, the god, specific plant or animal or whatever. Maybe people worship, they're named after that. They don't, all, that the brothers, sisters, they don't have, that they practice exogamy. They go out of the clan to have, that, because all are brothers, sisters within that. It is that way. It may be, that exogamy practice. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, functional approach to religion. So, that's what Emile Durkheim, functional approach in the sense, society has got order, each and every institution contributing for reinforcing social order. The same way, religion, the purpose of the religion to bring social order. By congregation, we enforce social order. So, in a systematic way, that is, because he is structural functionalist. So, religion contributing for social solidarity, social order in a systematic way. Otherwise, social role functions of the simplest form of religion called totemism in the Arunda tribe of Australia, his case study, where he found this, that the primitive religion he identified, and he also speaks about that. The totem denotes a common object, maybe animal or plant, and a symbol representing, that ultimately, that you venerate that, you respect that, because it is sacred. You treat that, you give sacred treatment. Because every religion, you've got two aspects. That's what he's going to divide. Sacred, profane, like that. That's according to Emile Durkheim. Essentially, social life is made up of representations. Because you collectively, people come together collectively and ultimately represent power on that plant or animal. Then they start venerating. Because collective conscience, collective sentiment, in the name of worshipping society, in the name of worshipping, that totem, that plant or animal, you worship the collective sentiment, you worship the collective conscience, you worship the collective opinion. Otherwise, you worship the society. In the name of worshipping God, you worship society. Otherwise, religion is nothing but society divinized. That is what his opinion. That is what his contribution. In the name of worshipping God, that's what I say. When you go to temple, you worship, God. Parallelly, you turn, you worship the people. Why? Because it's all these people responsible for, attributing power to that stone, the idol. Now it is worshipped as Lord. By Agama Shastra, whatever maybe. That's why Kumbhabhishekam you go for, to add power. And that's why people say, within the one mandalam, some 48 days you have to visit that temple after Kumbhabhishekam to get that power. So the radiation will be there, vibration will be there. Scientifically, that's also to some extent right. Yes. All these notions we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So people collectively attribute power in that, then they start venerating. That is what religion. Religion is nothing but collective representation. In the name of worshipping, the God, you worship society. Otherwise, religion is nothing but, according to Emile Durkheim, society transfigured by faith. Religion is nothing but society divinized. You understand? Not only in suicide, even in religion, he says society. Attribute, emphasis on collectivity. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so essentially social life is made of representation. So example, already we spoke about suicide. Social basis of religion and religious basis of society. So religion cannot be, that reduced to mere belief in God. It's more than that. In the name of worshipping God, you worship the collective sentiment, collective representation. So, because there are religions without God also. But Mahayana treats, the Gautama Buddha as God. Very well. Mahayana Buddhism, it's totally different. They worship like, God. Very well. So, they, that even the Jainism, he's not a God. Tirthankara, that Rishabha, the founder of Jainism, the 24th Tirthankara called, that Jain, of course, Mahavira. They are not God. The Tirthankara means the preachers, the teachers in the path. As you got Prophet Muhammad, he is not God, but people, Prophet Muhammad, that one who guides. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, religion is consecration of societies. That you make society a sacred entity. Otherwise, religion is a reflection of society. More specifically, it is collective representation. We collectively represent as if which has got power in that. This religion, that and society, the link we are talking about is especially is, that Emile Durkheim's contribution, elementary forms of religious life, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way, very well. Not only collective conscience, collective representation. He said, in the name of religion, you worship society. By worshipping a plant or animal as if which has got power, you worship the collective opinion, you worship the collective sentiment. So religion is nothing but society transfigured by faith. I repeat, that when you go through, the Igno material also, you will understand more. Yes. So the world of religion is divided according to Emile Durkheim. Every religion will have its own two elements. One is sacred element, another one is profane element. What do you mean by sacred element? Things set apart forbidden for worshipping. Otherwise, let me speak this way, that if you're, of course, even if you're non-Hindus, you can to some extent understand. Very good evening, Raghupati. Welcome to Unacademy. Yeah, you are talking about in every religion, you got sacred items. Say, for example, you worship God, the flower. You take, flower, you make a garland. Of course, you put that garland to the deity, the Lord, then you worship. The garland is sacred. But what about the thread used to form that garland, to connect the flowers? Do you think it is sacred? But it becomes sacred because of its association with the flower. But the thread is not sacred, it may be part of profane. And you break coconut in, the very temple with maybe one knife. The knife is not, the sacred. But breaking the very coconut, it has got its own purpose. You get knowledge, that you break all your, the ill temper, bad temperament, and you get enlightenment. That's the meaning of, the Hinduism we are talking about. The very stone or, that the very, that metal you use to break the coconut, it may not be sacred. It is part of profane. So when you talk about religion, there are some sacred items. There are some non-sacred items too. They are called profane. When you say religion, both sacred and non-sacred items put together called religion. The two elements he witnessed in the Arunda tribe of Australia. So the basic prerequisites to be qualified as a religion that he witnessed with that, that Arunda tribe of Australia, especially the primitive religion called totemism. He outrightly rejected rest of, that naturalism, Bongaism, animism, other. That's what we are talking about next point. So every religion can be classified into sacred, meaning is that you worship things set apart and forbidden for worshipping. What about during that festivals days, your mom will take, that make some sweets, and she won't allow you to take that sweets that without prayer to the god, because it is sacred. After prayer you can eat. Till then the sacredness should be maintained. You would have seen, no? Hello. Without taking bath, that you do, because the whole notion, Hinduism, the caste system, centered around the notion purity, pollution. But there are something, that of course you will know more about it. Yes, and also it's not mere sacred. There are other non-sacred items, of course, profane elements of social system, not connected with strict, that religion. Other things also, as I said, the garland, the flowers and thread. It is that way. So Durkheim rejected the other theories of animism, primitive religions, naturalism of Max Muller or animism of E.B. Taylor. For him, they were unable to, that meet the sacred and profane standards of religion. He outrightly rejected them. But instead, he said the primitive religion is totemism, especially Arunda tribe of Australia. This is how the religious study. Not only that, so it becomes obligation on the part of that religion, obligation character, that of religious belief behind that religious practices, that maybe fasting you do, maybe that some vegetarianism, non-vegetarianism, the principle people strictly adhere to. Even the vegetarianism, some the vegetables you don't take, some root vegetables you don't take, avoid. So all these things we are talking about, it talks about obligatory, that the character, that of religious beliefs, that you are supposed to follow that rituals and ceremonies. So religious phenomena consist of organized systems of collections of obligatory beliefs united with definite practices which relates to the object of beliefs. Got the point? Whatever may be, it's centered around rituals and ceremonies, with the belief system, faith system. Got the idea now? So that's what religion is all about. Obligatory part of religion, that we call, because the society is watching you, the culture is watching you, that constrains you, that exercises constraints in you. This is how you have to do, because that talks about social norm, social value. This religion, we have to do this way. Every religion has got that way. It is that way we are talking about. So obligatory part on the part of every religion, maybe in terms of rituals, ceremonies, the belief system, faith system, the practices. Ladies and gentlemen, so the shared religious beliefs arises from the society and in turn help the society hold together. That's what, so the purpose of religion, to bring together, to ensure social order. The collective representations are generally, that generated in such a way. The religion is otherwise called collective representation, collective conscience, generated in such a way. So they also refer to, that in such a way, when you talk about, that the society, you got symbolic representation. As you see in the idol god, there is a saying in Tamil, especially Tirumural. I will translate you, gentlemen. Tirumular, that says, Maratil maraindadu Mamada Yanai, Paratil maraindadu Panjabhudam. Actually, so you just imagine a wooden elephant, that doll. If you see the wood, you won't see the elephant. If you see the elephant, you forget that wood out of which elephant is made. The same way, if you see the whole universe, you don't see, that the Panjabhuta, that, the whole body, whole universe is made up of Panjabhuta, 5 elements you talk about. If you see the world, you don't see the Panjabhuta. If you see the Panchabhuta, 5 elements, you don't see the universe. That's the meaning. Ladies and gentlemen, people from other states, I'm sorry, I think you would have understood the spirit. If you don't understand, please type question. If you see one thing, you don't see other. If you see the stone as a stone, you don't see the God. If you see the God, you don't see the stone. That's the meaning, ladies and gentlemen. That's why collective representation, collective conscience we are talking about. Maybe that the water, as H2O, our representation. What is that? More than 99 degree Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's fever. Even now COVID situation, every airport you are checked. When you see the Mahadeva, when you see your God, you don't see the stone. When you see the stone, you don't see the Mahadeva. Because that is how the collective representation. We attributed part to that, then we start respecting, venerating, then we strictly adhere to the obligation, the rituals, ceremonies, that all those things. So religious representations must be seen, the work of collective conscience, that we spoke at length about it. It is symbolically conceived. Social function is all about shared beliefs and rituals, very important. Every society needs religion. That is some belief system that serves the same function. So it is this particular point, according to Ian Robertson, that way, because that brings people together, that establishes social order, solidarity. Doesn't mean that that may go against individualistic notion, privacy. So it's up to you. Maybe fundamental right of an individual, that's totally different in the modern world. But of course, from Emile Durkheim's path, main function of religion is creation, enforcement, maintenance of social solidarity. You create the God, you reinforce that the value system, rules and regulation, and also you maintain that, so that social solidarity. Of course, religion is nothing but collective representation. So long as society persists, so will the religion. As long as the society is there, there will be religion, there will be faith, there will be belief system. What faith, what belief, that may vary from religion to religion, that place to place, time to time. But as long as the society is there, culture will be there, where belief, faith, and all part and parcel of the culture. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way, that it is part of the society. That's why, again, premium to the society, primacy to the society, importance to the society. Of course, the criticism, people say it is one-sided, because psychologically, that you can never accept, untenable. Society possessing religious sentiment is capable of accomplishing unusual things, but it can hardly produce sentiment out of it. Got the point now? So maybe the structural functionalism, looking at that society, the very that religion in terms of functional aspect, there are dysfunctional. Today, for great men, religion is a tool for connecting people. For small men, is a religion for that tool for dividing people. We are talking about, where we talk about religious fundamentalism, forced religious conversion, even majoritarianism tendency, we accuse that way. It could be, it need not be always. You don't take it for granted, that maybe it is that way. So making social mind, collective representation as a sole source of religion, Durkheim resorted to something mysterious in itself. That ultimately you bring collective mind, collective conscience, that hence fail to give satisfactory explanation. People are not happy with that also to some extent. It is too simplistic, that may be fallacious, that it in that tone. I think it is right time, ladies and gentlemen, we have to discuss, the sources now. What is this? The sources we are talking about, of course, that probably for all the terminologies available on the part of Emile Durkheim, and you have to go for dictionaries, sociological dictionaries. It's available, that especially you would have got exposed to William P. Scott, even Oxford Dictionary, Penguin Dictionary. Even you can have basic information if you want some NCERT touch, but ignore materials, you got very clear-cut elaboration. And beyond that, next level, if you want to know something, of course, the Francis Abraham book is there. Without understanding, that if you go through it may little bit hard, please, that should be the path. And also you got Richard Douglas Goodman we are talking about, and to enrich, but it is not mandatory. But in spite of that, if you may be interested, And people will say there are aspirants cleared and got the marks. I never touched. Maybe exceptions cannot be called examples. Examples, ladies and gentlemen. There is a process. There is a system. If you're not respecting the system, of course, someone by luck got something. I don't know. Otherwise, you land up somewhere. Commercial guides, that it's verbatim, like vomiting. I don't know. I don't recommend that strategy. I want you to understand and then deliver. If you can't deliver, that says that you don't have. You didn't understand properly. That is the meaning. When you put enough resources, make efforts, enjoy the process. That it naturally you will get. You can't escape from that process. Outcome, the nishkama karma, maybe Bhagavad Gita essence. So you strictly adhere to the duty. You can't escape from the consequences. Maybe right consequences I'm talking about. So this the perspective in touch. Of course, structural functionalism. We touched in the name of the contributions of Emile Durkheim. Especially we spoke at length about, we also linked the relevance in UPSC Civil Services Examination in terms of syllabus. We spoke about social situations, conditions responsible for Emile Durkheim's contribution, of course, and the contribution, he gave premium to society, because structural functionalism school of thought preoccupied with the notion social solidarity, mechanical, organic, and he also spoke about moving from mechanical to organic solidarity as social progress, and division of labor, social fact, suicide, religion and society. Religion as collective conscience, collective representation. The name of worshiping God, you worship society. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I enriched your understanding, especially sociological understanding, through this lecture. I believe that. Thanks for your passions. Thanks for the wonderful company, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we will also meet that tomorrow for another thinker. Probably that I thank that once again for your especially involvement in learning stage by stage. You please also parallelly watch all the previous videos. You will see the connectivity. You will come to know, right? So it's right time that, ladies and gentlemen, that this is me, Success Sampath, signing off from you, and welcome to Unacademy once again. That please use my referral code, especially to go for iconic program, avail 10% discount. Wishing you all the very best and best of luck, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Have the rest of wonderful evening. Thank you, please.